we do have several areas here where we do have some tornado warnings that are in effect. So let me catch you up on the very latest here, and we'll go down the line and let you know what we're looking at the moment. We are looking at one area of storms off to the southwest of Mount Vernon. These are right now running from about Sparta, Illinois, on down toward the Perryville, Missouri area. And there is a tornado warning in effect right now for the Pinckneyville and Tamaroa area here in northern Perry County. That runs until 6:30 this evening. This is a radar indicated rotation that's back in this line back towards Sparta. So for right now, well out ahead of this line for Pinckneyville and Tamaroa. But these storms are moving very quickly at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. And so as I zoom this out just a little bit and give you a track on this, you can kind of see some of the arrival times that we'll be looking at. And I want to switch this over to our velocity data and see if there's anything in here that's jumping out at us. And right now there's a couple of little circulations, really more to the northwest of Pinckneyville, that's up in Washington County. Back here to the west of Pinckneyville, nothing that's just jumping off the page to me right now, but we will watch this closely as we go back to radar. Put a track on this segment of the storms as they move off again to the east-northeast at around 55 to 60 miles per hour. So those are going to be rolling here into the Mount Vernon area around 6:46. Back toward Pinckneyville at around 6:24. So we got about 15 minutes before this line comes through town for you guys. DuQuoin at around 6:39 this evening. So we'll be watching. Would not be surprised to see at least a severe thunderstorm or possibly tornado warning issued relatively soon for portions of Jefferson County here, and we'll maybe even be looking at the northern parts of Franklin County for a possible warning there. Then as we move on to the south, we've got additional warnings here across southeast Missouri, numerous warnings, including a tornado warning that is in effect for northern Bollinger County, and that warning runs until 6:45. This is also a radar indicated area of rotation here, and it looks like the latest on that, the storm was located near Buckhorn, about 11 miles south of Fredericktown, and this was about 10 minutes ago. That storm also moving northeast at 60 miles per hour, so that storm will be near Patton and Alliance here in the next couple of minutes. And then to the south of that, we've got a large severe thunderstorm warning that includes southwestern Cape Girardeau County, the southern half of Bollinger County, and then the northern half of Stoddard County, as well as portions of Wayne County, Missouri. That runs until 6:45, and this is for the threat of 60 mile per hour straight line winds. And you also notice that there is a tornado possible threat tag on that. Any of these storms this evening with this line, the atmosphere is as this line moves east, going to become increasingly more favorable for some possible brief spin-up tornadoes. We don't expect to see those isolated supercells or any long track type tornadoes, but these are going to be storms with a lot of wind, and the tornado threat's going to be a little difficult to detect with radar because there'll be these little brief spin-ups that sometimes the radar, it's difficult to spot because they happen so quickly, but we'll be keeping an eye here on that entire line as it moves off to the east as well at around 60 miles per hour. Let's do a track and then we'll show you the velocity here on our tornado warned part of this storm. So again, this is moving off to the east-northeast at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. So some arrival times for you here. These will be moving toward the Mississippi River and eventually into southern Illinois over the next hour or so. Marble Hill, an arrival time for you at around 6:21. And notice Marble Hill not in the tornado warning polygon. That's off to the north of town. Advance at around 6:33. Cape Girardeau at 6:47. Oran at 6:50. And the Anna Jonesboro area at around 7:04 this evening. So let's go down for a closer view here on our tornado warned part of this storm. And you can see that that is out near the Marquand area, moving toward Highway 51 here in northern Bollinger County. That's off again to the north of Marble Hill. So some of the communities, Scopus and Sedgwickville and the Glen Allen community in that tornado warned part of this storm. And as we look at the velocity here, a little pop of some higher end winds north here of Marquand, but again, we are, this is kind of in a little bit of a radar, a tricky radar spot. It's far away from the Paducah radar site. We'll actually move this around, see if we can get some data out of the St. Louis radar. I'll have to zoom out just a little bit. Just don't want to miss anything here. It is a little tricky sometimes to get real good data because we're kind of split in between a couple of sites. There's the St. Louis site, and again, you can see at least some broad rotation here off to the north of Marquand. So that's going to be headed up here close to the intersection of Highway 51 and 72 in northern Bollinger County. So we'll keep an eye on that. As far as the rest of that line of storms, again, farther to the south, this is going to be more of a wind threat as it approaches Zalma and Puxico, Highway 51 here in Stoddard and Bollinger County, and then over toward the Advance area. Let's flip the wind data on again real quick here and see if there's anything that jumps out to us. A lot of elevated wind showing up out here north of the Lake Wappapello area. All right, back to radar, and let's go down the line. We'll zoom out just a little bit for perspective. And you can see how this area is kind of a little bit bowed out. Whenever you see that bowing structure there, that's those mid-level winds coming in on the back side of that storm and pushing through and down. And so right there at kind of the apex of that bowing segment is where we're probably going to have the strongest winds moving here into southern Bollinger County over the next 15 to 30 minutes. All right, down the line into the boot heel of Missouri, we're watching a storm that's coming out of northern Arkansas, and you can see a small section of Dunklin County under a tornado warning right now until 6:30, and this is for now a radar indicated area of rotation. There was, as of about 25 minutes ago, observed tornado reported near Hoxie, that's out in rural Arkansas. And you can see that the most intense part of this storm kind of lined up to impact the Kennett, Missouri area here fairly soon. This is moving at about 55 miles per hour, so let's put a track here on that. In fact, I think we'll get it on there. At the current speed, we'll be headed toward Kennett here at around 6:45, 6:46, and then if it holds together there, possibly approaching I-55, Portageville to Hayti at around 7 o'clock or 7:05. So we'll be watching that carefully as well. As we look at the velocity data here, there is still a fairly impressive little signature showing up here out to the west of Kennett, and this is north of Paragould. Right now we're talking about 20 to 23 miles west of the Kennett, Missouri area. And let's see if let's check out our other product there. That doesn't really look too much different. So this is something that is a little bit more well defined than our circulations that are off to the north. And yeah, you can see back here toward the Hoxie area, those green and red colors, they were quite a bit brighter than they are right now. So certainly the radar would support the idea if there was maybe an observed tornado. It looks more impressive there on radar. As we look out in time, we will be seeing this line of storms approaching, moving into western Kentucky, probably between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, reaching our river counties. So let's go back to radar and kind of go back out for a wider perspective and give you an update on where these things are headed. And by the way, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning here for Dunklin County and a small sliver of Pemiscot County as well as these storms move into the area. So let's go back here and kind of give you a ballpark idea of where these storms are going to be headed. By about 7 o'clock, we expect this line to run pretty close to Carbondale, Cape Girardeau, and on down to the west of Sykeston. And then by around 7:30, some arrival times for places like Vienna, perhaps down toward Cairo and New Madrid. By 8 o'clock, we expect this line of storms to be somewhere over around Harrisburg, approaching Paducah, on down toward Union City. And then after the 8 o'clock time frame, between 8 and 9, moving over toward places like Marion, Benton, Mayfield, Murray. And so as these storms move east, again, we do expect the environment to become a little bit more favorable for potentially some more sustained damaging winds and a few spin-up tornadoes. But again, let's go down the line here quickly and give you an update on what we're seeing with our northern storms. And we will, after we do this quick recap, probably get you back to hoops just for a second as we watch these storms move in. 6:30, the expiration on our severe thunderstorm, or our tornado warning rather, here in northern Perry County, Missouri. And as we look at the radar data here on that, this is still kind of a broad area of rotation. Really not, I'm not seeing anything that is just really well defined as far as the rotation is concerned here. As we approach the Pinckneyville area, it is possible that we could have some gusty winds, and we'll have to slide that radar back over here. Give me just a second. This thing can be a little on the sensitive side sometimes. And there we go as we approach. That's out of the St. Louis radar site. And then out of the Paducah radar site, not a whole lot differing as far as the data there. So again, a line of some strong winds coming into Perry County. Right now, I'm just not seeing anything that supports any real strong rotation there. There is a decent amount of lightning with some of these storms, especially up here in Washington County. But the lightning data, not a ton of lightning west of Pinckneyville, so we're hopeful that maybe that's a sign that these storms are not weakening, but slightly less intense. There is quite a bit of thunder and lightning here in our Bollinger County storm, and that is where we do have a tornado warning till 6:45, and that includes areas here north of Marble Hill. At this point, I haven't seen anything in terms of any reports from the National Weather Service of damage or confirmation there. Mike Javer is here. He's watching things. Do you have anything that you're seeing
for Marble Hill?
On your end? Yeah.
We had a spotters report rotation just south of his location on Highway JJ, Marble Hill, Missouri. So apparently there are storm spotters that they're seeing at least a little bit of rotation.
Gotcha.
With this storm.
Now, I can say here, all right, there's something I do want to zoom in here and take a look at. Yeah, check, this is all of a sudden we've got a big pop here in the winds. Yeah, look at that. All right, so that is concerning here. So we're going to have to stick with this for a while until we see this kind of ramp down just a little bit. Let's zoom in here. This may be a problem for us headed toward the Sedgwickville area, and now we've got a brand new tornado warning that's been issued out ahead of this. So we're going to stick with you now for a while as this all of a sudden has become quite a bit more concerning with what we're seeing on radar. That area of bright green here, and let's go back to the other velocity product. This is going to be cranking out some very strong winds. Estimated wind speed on radar with some of these brighter sections easily 60 miles per hour. So that is moving into the Sedgwickville area here soon. You have that warning info?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
This is still
radar.
Radar indicated, okay, at this point. Extensive straight line wind damage possible with this storm near Patton, moving 11 miles northwest of Bollinger Mill historic site. So this is going to be near Daisy and Millersville around 6:25 and Altenburg at around 6:35 this evening. So we've got, and it looks like now we've got maybe a new tornado warning coming out for another part of the area. So stick with us here on that. But this is the storm. We're really concerned about this right now. It does look like this is moving at about 60 miles per hour. So let me give you an updated track on this and the new warning information here for Perry and Cape Girardeau County. Let's do our track first. And this is moving again off to the east-northeast, 60 miles per hour. So right now, this thing really racing. Sedgwickville, we've got about 5 minutes. So now is the time, if you're in the Sedgwickville area or a few miles outside of that, we need to be taking shelter right now. And you can see a tornado warning just issued south of there. Sedgwickville at 6:29, Grand Tower at 6:52. And then into Jackson County here in southern Illinois, Pomona, Carbondale area just after 7 o'clock. And then if this thing holds together, over here into Williamson and northern Johnson County by about 7:20. But right now, our biggest concern here is this very intense pocket of wind that is showing up here around the Sedgwickville area. Here's our latest warning. For southern Perry County, that does not include the Perryville area, and then northern Cape Girardeau County. That warning is until 6:45. There's now a new tornado warning that includes Marble Hill and over toward Jackson and Cape Girardeau. That runs until 7:15. So we've got 7:15 on that warning, 6:45 on the northern warning here, and a radar indicated area of rotation. I do want to take a look quickly at our debris tracker and see if there's anything being picked up in this. It's a little fuzzy here near Sedgwickville, but there's nothing that just jumps out to me right now. Kind of looking behind the scenes at a couple of products here. Not seeing anything on that. We do have spotter rotation again south of Highway JJ around the Marble Hill area. So there is a little pocket back here, but this is the one that I'm really concerned about. Let's go down. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer here and get a look at some of those highways that are in the path. And that thing, wow, that has just really blown fast over to the east. This thing is racing now over toward Sedgwickville along Highway 71. So if you live out here toward Oak Ridge, this is in far northwestern Cape Girardeau County. You need to be taking shelter between Sedgwickville, Oak Ridge, over toward New Wells and Pocahontas. The possibility for some widespread damaging winds of over 60 miles per hour, in addition to the potential for a tornado out of this. So you can see that is one area that we're concerned about. I do want to zoom in to an area south of Marble Hill as well. So we're working two different tornado warnings here. The second area of rotation, yeah, this is here down south of Highway 51. You can see some brighter specks in the data there, and some of those brighter areas are cranking out winds of at least 60 miles per hour. We're not seeing the reds and greens here. Normally you'd see the reds and greens where you have rotation. Not picking up on that just yet, but we are kind of elevated with our radar scan. We're probably scanning here at several hundred feet at least, maybe a few thousand feet up above. Yeah, right now we're probably looking at least 1,500 feet elevated on the radar scan there. Did see from the National Weather Service that back in Jonesboro, Arkansas, winds gusted 75 miles per hour when this line of storms moved through. So that's what we're looking at approaching our area, and we are now getting reports of some multiple power outages as this line of storms has come through in portions of southeast Missouri. Again, I'm going to zoom out here. I don't want to get too boxed in on one individual storm. We're watching a couple of different areas of rotation here. Very strong wind signature here up around the Sedgwickville area, moving into northern Cape Girardeau County. Another area of rotation south of Marble Hill. That's moving into southwestern Cape Girardeau County. Want to zoom out and get a quick check of our other storms. We, again, have storms that are moving into the Boot Heel of Missouri. Let's visit that quickly, as our tornado warning here has also been expanded. So let me give you the latest on that. And this is a very strong, all of a sudden, area of rotation that's showing up here coming out of Arkansas. So here's our newest tornado warning. That is until 7:15. And again, this is for Kennett, Missouri, and over into parts of Dunklin County. Let's zoom in here on these areas that are in that latest polygon. That's going to include Kennett, and then areas down towards Senath and Arbord, and then over towards Steele and Cooter in extreme southern Pemiscot County. Folks along Highway 412 and 164 are going to be, they're in that warning right now, and this is the reason that we have the tornado warning here as we look back toward just north of Lake City, and you saw Monette pop on. If you remember, the December 10th tornado actually went through the Monette area, so we'll keep an eye on this. But you do see here that there is more of that circulation here. We got winds going in a couple of different directions. We've got winds going toward the radar site here, and then winds going around here. And so that is where we have the potential for our rotation. That is going to be moving to the northeast. So let me zoom this out and we'll put a track on that. Actually, let me loop this so that I can see how this has evolved over the last few minutes. And yeah, there's certainly, yeah, Jonesboro, okay, right there, you can see those bright greens. They reported 75 miles per hour winds out of that. So south of Paragould here, coming up into the Boot Heel of Missouri, is where we're probably going to be seeing, if not rotation, at least a solid 60 to 70 mile per hour wind threat. And that's moving to the east-northeast at around 60 miles per hour. So let's put a track on that most intense part of that storm. And so this will be coming up again around Steele at 7:07, and then Caruthersville at around 7:19. Over toward Dyersburg, we'll be watching this around 7:30. But it looks like for the time being, at least over the next maybe 20 minutes, this is going to remain down in Arkansas. But we're going to be watching this for you here in the Boot Heel of Missouri. There's also a tornado warning here with another area of rotation that's off to the northwest of Kennett. That tornado warning runs until 7 o'clock. Also the potential for hail up to a quarter size, but we're watching this circulation as well. It is not quite as organized as the circulation that's down there in Arkansas close to Monette, but we'll be watching that one. Let me stop this and put a track on that little spot as well. And then we're going to bounce back up to our Sedgwickville storm. We switch back over to the Paducah radar, so let me just turn the regular radar data on. This storm right here, moving off to the east-northeast at 60 miles per hour, so some arrival times on that. Piggott there in Arkansas at 6:42, Campbell, Missouri at around 6:52, Wardell at 7:02, Portageville 7 o'clock or 7:09, and then New Madrid at around 7:22. All right, let's go back up to the north and check back in on our storm that's moving here into Cape Girardeau County. Got a couple of areas of rotation that we're watching here. Mike, do you have anything new that you've seen on your end?
I don't believe so. They are noting that the rotation has gotten stronger with some of the latest radar runs.
Yeah.
And it looks like there might be 2 areas of rotation with that one.
Yeah, there is. We've got a couple of different places that we're watching here. Obviously, you can see those bright colors around Sedgwickville. And this radar image, this is at least 3 to 4 minutes old. So this is now well here into Cape County there. And then we've also got some weaker areas of rotation here, just a few miles south of Marble Hill. So we're talking about probably 5 to 6 miles south of Marble Hill on Highway 51. But we are really clocking some strong winds right here south of Sedgwickville. Some of these pixels in the 60 to 65 mile per hour range. And again, with that report of 75 miles per hour in Jonesboro, Arkansas, it's very likely that if the radar is spitting out some 60 mile per hour gusts in the data, that probably is verifying. Weather Service folks saying that the rotation there in northwestern Cape could briefly clip some of us here in Perry County as well. So let's zoom in here to that. This is crossing I-55 right now. It's several miles north of Jackson. It's right around the Oak Ridge, Missouri area here on Interstate 55. This is going to be moving right up here to areas in between Oak Ridge and Grand Tower. So New Wells, Old Appleton, some of the spots that are going to be in the path here. So let's zoom that back out. And again, this is going to eventually be moving up here into Jackson and northern Union County in southern Illinois. So we'll have to pay attention to that and keep an eye on things there. The little area here south of Marble Hill, again, this mainly appears to be more straight line winds, but there's some little hints of rotation there. Let's go back to our velocity scan. I want to take a quick look at our debris tracker and see if anything is showing up there. Pretty messy appearance at the moment, nothing that just is jumping out to us. Back here near Sedgwickville, you can see that there's a little bit more in terms of some at least kind of a messier look here. I think we're not really seeing a debris ball, but there may be a little bit of leaf debris that's showing up there. Of course, as you are able to, if you have any reports that you can pass along to us, of course, we would appreciate those. You can send those to us. Just the easiest thing to do probably is head to my Facebook fan page and just send me a message. If you have any reports of damage there, let us know so that we can pass that along to folks at the National Weather Service. Let's kind of do a reset here and give you a look at what's going on across the area at the moment. Multiple storms that we're keeping an eye on. I do want to let you know here, we do have some thunderstorms at the moment in western Kentucky. In fact, there is some lightning showing up here, some rain, thunder and lightning in McCracken and Graves County, and then some thunderstorms here in parts of Fulton and Hickman County. This activity here is not severe, and I don't expect it to turn severe. So Paducah down toward Mayfield, if you're hearing some thunder right now, there's no reason to be panicked at the moment. This is just a thunderstorm, nothing severe here. These are more elevated thunderstorms. They're not completely rooted into the surface, and they're not getting all the instability that's out there just yet. These storms that are stretching from Poplar Bluff to the west of Cape, this is the main line of storms right here, and that's going to be the primary threat for severe weather. Let me quickly do this. I do want to give you a reminder. We have a tornado watch in effect area-wide until 11 p.m. I do believe that by certainly 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, our severe weather threat is going to be coming to an end. This is why we're having severe weather tonight. Look at this. It is currently 62 in Paducah. It's 74 in Louisville. It's 31 in Springfield, Missouri. That's why we're dealing with this tonight. And once the storms pass through, temperature's going to drop quickly over the next several hours. So that's why we're dealing with this tonight. But back to the radar, we do have some new warnings here in southern Illinois. So let me go down here for the latest on these counties under a new severe thunderstorm warning. Mount Vernon, Ina, down toward Benton and West Frankfort in Jefferson and Franklin County, tiny sliver of Williamson County and the northern Jackson County, kind of along and north of Murfreesboro. We're talking about DeSoto and back toward Ava, and then into Perry County up around DuQuoin and Pinckneyville. That runs until 7:15 this evening, and you see this is mainly for a wind threat. However, they do indicate tornado possible tag on this. The environment right now that we're in, some of these storms could spin and create some damaging winds. These are moving off to the northeast at around 60 to 65 miles per hour on that warning. So let's put a track on this for you and get you caught up on where these are headed next. I have to move the camera or the radar just to the west a little bit to get it all on the screen. I'll put a line track on there so you can kind of get a general idea of where this entire line is headed. And again, moving off to the east at around 60 to 65. We'll kind of split the difference there. Well, we'll go, oh, hang on just a second. All right, so arrival for Elkville at 7:42, Mount Vernon at 6:51, Dahlgren and McLeansboro around 7:05 to 7:15, and then on over toward Carmi at around 7:37. Again, this is mainly a wind threat along this line of storms. Let's get back to the Paducah radar site there. Yeah, we do have that fairly lengthy area here. That red is kind of where we have the leading edge of those winds that may possibly be reaching 50 to 60 miles per hour. Our most intense storm right now is moving here into right along the Perry and Cape Girardeau County line. So from Frona south, this is approaching Grand Tower, an area of rotation here that has had the potential to produce a tornado. I think we're probably looking more at a damaging wind threat with this. I don't see anything in the tornado debris signature right now that jumps out at us, but certainly seeing some very strong straight line winds coming out of this. So this is going to be approaching Grand Tower and then eventually moving over here near the wine country area between Carbondale and McCandle. Let me put a track on that. This has been so far our most intense storm of the evening. And has been pretty consistent in holding together as well. So moving off at about 55 miles per hour. So Grand Tower, we're looking at around 6:50 for an arrival time for you guys. Carbondale and Pomona around 7 to 7:10, right there around the Highway 51 corridor. And then moving over toward Heron at around 7:21, which would also kind of put it over toward Carterville and Marion around 7:20 to 7:30, up toward West Frankfort at around 7:30 or so. So we'll keep an eye on that area of intense wind. On down the line, you can see here coming into Jackson, Missouri and western Cape Girardeau County, we do still technically have a tornado warning that's in effect here for Jackson and Cape Girardeau until 7:15. This is really a radar indicated area of rotation. There hasn't really been, normally when we're talking about strong rotation, we see reds and greens next to each other. But again, we're in an environment here where along this line of storms, you can get a quick spin up that sometimes can drop down just as, faster than the radar can swing around to. And so they can go undetected. So if we're here from Jackson to Cape Girardeau, here in central and southern Cape Girardeau County, let's go ahead and take shelter and be safe there. It looks like we've got a new tornado warning that just came out here for the area. We just showed you the track on this storm that's over here near Frona, and now we do have a new tornado warning that's been issued on that. So let's go here for the latest on our tornado warning. That's going to include Carbondale and Murfreesboro, Jackson County, Williamson County, over toward Marion. That includes Heron, Carterville, and just to the north of Goreville, and just to the north of Cobden as well. That's until 7:30 this evening. And let's see if we've got any reports from the Weather Service here on that. It does look like a storm spotter that was near Oak Ridge, Missouri, did indicate some rotation there. And then we've got 5 minutes ago a power flash reported in Cape Girardeau County near Highway 61 and Highway CC. So that's also something that we'll need to monitor there. If we've got power flashes, that may be an indication that we have possibly something on the ground. So we'll have to monitor that. Mike, do you see anything new on your end?
No, Trent, I think you have everything covered. I think this one storm up in the one that involves Carbondale right now.
Okay.
Is one of those.
May want to check our, we may be out of
Yeah.
paper over here.
Okay.
All right, just checking a couple things behind the scenes here. We do have power poles down as well. Again, that's near Shawneetown, Missouri. So let's update you here on the location of where we are talking about. That is going to be to the north of Jackson. So that's going to be on this storm right here. So that's what we're talking about. This is why we have the tornado warning here until 7:30 now, as this storm possibly producing some damage. See if anything happens to jump out here. Debris tracker is not really showing anything. Let me look at a product behind the scenes. So that damage would have been if we did have possibly something touching down. Again, would have been back closer to areas in between Pocahontas and Frona and Altenburg. So that part of the storm is now approaching Grand Tower. So possibly some wind-related or maybe tornado damage coming out of that storm. So again, here is the track on this storm as it's moving off to the east, and bear with us here. We've had a couple of instances where our radar data has dropped out briefly, but it will come back. The storm moving off to the east at 60 miles per hour. So that tornado warned portion of the storm, Grand Tower 649, Carbondale at 706, Carterville at 713, Marion at 720, and Harrisburg at 741. Again, that's kind of we'll expand that cone as we get out in time here. So that is for an area of rotation. Again, that is here coming out of Perry County, Missouri. We had potential damage here near the Shawneetown, Missouri area. So we'll monitor the latest on that. And looks like the Storm Prediction Center keeping an eye on things for us here as well, and they continue to let us know that the winds aloft are still very favorable for severe weather. So we think that this threat will continue for the next couple of hours and likely beyond. So let's move the camera down here just a bit farther to the south. Don't want to get locked in on any one spot. We do have this line that's coming into Cape Girardeau County. Let's check on our storm that's down in Arkansas that prompted some tornado warnings here. We've got a new tornado warning here. All right, so we've got a couple things we're watching. You can see along this line, there's a couple of spots where the line is just kind of a little jagged. It's not straight across. So we may have a couple of circulations. There's one circulation right here, possibly another here. So we'll watch those as this one is moving right along. I believe that is Highway 164. Yeah, so that's off to the south of Kennett. Some pretty rural area here in southern Dunklin County, but we'll need to monitor that, especially over towards Steele. As you get over toward the Steele exit of I-55, certainly some strong gusty winds. And then the circulation that's down here just across the border in Arkansas, it's pretty close to Manila, Arkansas. That one, maybe, if it holds together, could head up here to western sections of Dyer County. So we'll watch that over the next few minutes. There's also another tornado warning, it looks like, that's been issued coming here out of Malden over toward the New Madrid area. So I'm not really seeing anything on the velocity. Let me switch this back over to radar. You can see this line of storms coming into the Malden area right now. That tornado warning is in effect until 7:30 tonight, and that includes a little small sliver of Stoddard County, but the southern sections of New Madrid County under that tornado warning until 7:30 this evening. This is radar, again, radar indicated, and with the environment tonight, I don't know that we're going to see any long-lasting areas of rotation. This is going to be straight line winds with little embedded signatures where a tornado may drop briefly for a minute or two and then it's gone. And so if you're in these tornado warnings tonight, go ahead and shelter in place, take these seriously. It's very possible that we may have a couple of tornadoes that drop down and lift before the radar is able to sweep back around and catch those for us. So we need you to be taking these seriously as we go through the course of the evening here, and just assume that you're better safe than sorry, as always with these storms. And so we want you to go ahead and take shelter when that warning is issued. We'll do a track on this line segment here. Again, these are all moving generally at about 60 miles per hour. So this is going to be coming up toward Portageville at around 7:05, New Madrid at 7:15, Hickman at around 7:35, and Clinton at around 7:46 tonight. So we'll be watching this here as this moves into western Kentucky over about the next hour or so. And again, we do have some showers that are out here ahead of our main line. These are not severe. They're not expected to turn severe. This line back here in Missouri, that's the main event. Once this line moves through, you guys are good. So Poplar Bluff, you're in the clear for the rest of the night, but most of the area is still waiting for this line to move through. All right, let's go back up to the north, and our tornado warned storm that's right here moving across the Mississippi River at the moment, headed toward Grand Tower. We need to be on alert if we're out in Carbondale, Jackson County, over toward the McCanda area. Zoom in just a little bit closer here. This is the storm that's causing that tornado warning, and you can see from Murfreesboro south on 127, Carbondale and McCanda over toward Carterville, Heron, and Marion in southern Illinois. These areas all in a tornado warning, and that runs until 7:30 this evening. So let's go back over and look at our radar or our velocity data. And you can still see here there are some very strong winds right there around the Grand Tower, Illinois area. Right there over Grand Tower, possibly seeing some at least 40, 50 mile per hour winds. And there is at least some rotation that's kind of been on and off with this storm. Zoom this out just a bit, kind of see what this has looked like over the past hour or so. And you can see this was really quite intense out here over northern Bollinger County, northern Cape County. We are starting to see the kind of the top end of those velocities at the moment are not quite as high as they were back to the west. That does not mean that the storm is weakening, however. And it may very well pulse up again. There is still some lightning showing up here with this. Let's kind of loop that as well. One of the things sometimes that you look for with thunderstorms is if there is an uptick in the lightning, sometimes that means your updraft is getting stronger and may pose a greater threat for a tornado or winds. But at the moment right now, seems to be that the lightning is holding fairly steady on that. Let's look at a couple of different wind products here. Those don't look too much different. So we really think that this strongest area of rotation from its track here is going to come very close to Carbondale. And again, that's going to be within the next 20 minutes or so. So we need to be taking shelter here around Carbondale and SIU. Let's do another track, give you the latest arrivals on this, and then we will cover, it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for several areas here in southern Illinois. Let's just go ahead and say 60 miles per hour here. So Carbondale, our arrival time is around 7:09. Carterville at around 7:17 and Marion around 7:25. So over the next 30 minutes, we're going to be seeing this area of intense winds and possible rotation moving right there around the Route 13 corridor. And this is going to pose a danger here for us from Carbondale to Carterville, Marion, right there around Crab Orchard Lake. And so it is time to be moving to shelter there. Again, as always, if you are in the path of this storm, we want you to head to an interior hallway, closet, a bathroom. Stay away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And if you have a basement, obviously that's the safest place to go. There is a larger severe thunderstorm warning that's now been issued for a good portion of southern Illinois. And this really stretches from Mount Vernon to West Frankfort all the way down just to the west of Vienna, Jonesboro, and all the way into Alexander and Pulaski County now. And that severe thunderstorm warning runs until 7:30. Again, you can see that flashing here. That basically goes from Route 13 south almost down to Cairo. So that's going to include Goreville and again, almost to Vienna, Jonesboro, Cobden, Dongola, down toward Pulaski County, so close to Karnak and the Horseshoe Lake area, Thebes, and over toward Cape Girardeau included in that warning. Tornado possible tag. Again, all these storms tonight have the potential to produce some quick spin-up type tornadoes. Farther to the south here, let's check in on the wind with our Cape Girardeau storm. You can see that little area of rotation starting to tighten up again out here to the west of Carbondale. So we're going to want to watch that real close. It does not look to be quite as well defined here back toward Cape Girardeau. But near Pomona, if you live near Pomona, let's go ahead and be taking shelter right now. Things look like they are getting pretty intense there. The rotation is certainly strongest in that area. Checking in on the Weather Service chat, not seeing anything there that's jumping out to us right now. Just looking at a couple things behind the scenes. Bear with me here just for a second. Mike, you see anything over there?
Despite anything you talked about, not really.
Okay.
They found out that those power surges that we're seeing earlier were just poles that were being downed.
Okay.
So, not sure if that was a confirmed tornado on the ground or not, but that's just something to keep in mind.
We did have about 6:40 this evening, so almost 20 minutes ago, there were some reports of some power poles down in the Shawneetown, Missouri area, not Shawneetown, Illinois, Shawneetown, Missouri, which is back close to Highway 61. So that is the storm that is coming into Pomona in Jackson County right now. So this is the storm that caused that damage. So our main concern right now is our storm approaching Route 13. So let's go down here and kind of get you caught up on what's happening right now. At the moment, the strongest rotation is coming in right here along 127. Some strong winds coming through Murfreesboro right now. And again, moving down, you can see there's Pomona. In between Pomona, McCanda, and up toward Carbondale, these are areas where if this thing dropped a quick spin up, those are the spots that are going to be in the crosshairs. And again, this is going to be moving over toward Carbondale now within the next 10 minutes. So we need to be taking shelter there. And then on the east side of Carbondale here, over toward Carterville, Marion, Heron, maybe even up toward Johnson City, and then south of Marion, getting on down close to Lake of Egypt. Those are all areas that let's go ahead and be getting to our safe spot. Make sure you take your phone with you. We are continuing to stream live here on Facebook as well as WPSD Local 6. We're going to stay with you as long as these tornado warnings are in effect. And you can see this line of storms stretching from Murfreesboro back to the east of Grand Tower right now. So those of us along Highway 51, we've got about 5 to 10 minutes before these storms roll in to your area. All right, let's zoom out and get you caught up on what else is going on out there. We appreciate you sticking with us and trusting us as we cover these storms here tonight. We've got the tornado warning still in effect here for Cape Girardeau County. That is going to run until 7:15. And as we look at the velocity data here, mainly strong winds where you see the green. So that is wind that is going toward the Paducah radar site. So you can see the radar spinning around down here at Barkley Regional. Green means winds toward, and so that's where we have some strong pockets of wind coming in and coming down at the ground. Likely some 40 to 50, maybe occasionally over 50-mile-per-hour gusts with that. The tornado warning does remain. There have been some instances where there's been some very brief rotations that have been possible. We're not seeing anything that's long-lasting or that's well-defined right now, but it's worth continuing to go ahead and shelter for that at the moment. Let's move down into the Boot Heel of Missouri because we have tornado warnings in effect here as well. And we have an area back over here east of Malden. You can see this line where the green is just a little bit brighter. That is where we've got strong winds coming out of this storm, and you can see there's a surge here off to the east of Malden. Let's look at that on a loop. So right now, this looks like it's probably more of a straight line wind threat, at least according to the radar data. However, when you start to see these bowing segments, there can be on the northern side of that bow some potential for some rotation. So it appears that the strongest part of that storm is headed pretty close to New Madrid, or maybe just north of New Madrid on I-55. So if you live here in New Madrid, we've got just a few minutes before this rolls through. I would go ahead and be taking shelter ahead of this storm there. Let's zoom that out, and not only for New Madrid, but also for folks that are down toward Clinton and Hickman. This is going to be potentially headed your way here soon. So let's put a track on this line. And really, even the severe thunderstorm warned part that's coming into Sykeston, we'll track that entire segment here. This is moving off to the east at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. So we've got an arrival here about 7:13 in New Madrid. It's 7:03 right now, so we've got about 10 minutes before that storm rolls in to New Madrid. Charleston, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning right now, and possibly some strong winds arriving there around 7:25. Hickman around 7:37. Be prepared for storms to arrive there. And as we get closer to the 8 o'clock hour, these storms getting over close to the Graves County line between Hickman and Fancy Farm between 7:45 and 8 o'clock. So we're going to need to keep a close eye on things there. Down in the south, we've got tornado warnings in the Boot Heel of Missouri as well. And that includes actually a small part of southwest Dyer County under a tornado warning as well. and that is going to run until 7:45 with a storm that's here coming out of northern Arkansas that may make it into Dyer County within about the next 30 to 40 minutes. And our line of storms has passed through Kennett right now moving into Pemiscot County and getting close to the Steele communities. So let's take a quick look here at our velocity data. That is the scan out of Memphis. A lot messier look on the Paducah radar, and let's take a look at another product there. Move this around just a little bit. So that's our Memphis radar site. Paducah, a little tougher to pick out there, but you can see instead of where the reds and greens are located here, instead of a straight up and down line, you notice how it's a little wavy. Along those waves, that's where you can get just a little bit of spin, and it doesn't take much to drop just a brief tornado. Again, these are not going to be long track, long lived tornado potential. It's going to be more of your quick hitting type deals that drop down briefly and then lift back up if it produces anything at all. Get a quick look at things from the Weather Service here. Check on the Memphis page quickly and see what they are reporting. Not seeing any. I do have reports of some structure damage around Clarkton, Missouri. So that is going to be in Dunklin County. Not sure to what extent that damage is, but we do have a report of Clarkton, which is that is off to the north of Kennett. That's along Highway 25, and that would be on our storm. That would probably be with this storm at this point. Let's loop that and see if we can get an idea of where that may have been. Clarkton is right up in this area. There's nothing that jumps out on radar, but again, the environment tonight, we've got the potential for storms to drop a tornado with little to no warning and very quickly. Doesn't see anything on the debris signature there. Let's go back over to our regular radar scan, and let's track this entire line as it moves off to the east. And again, this line moving east at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. So here in southeast Missouri, down into northwest Tennessee, as it moves east at 50 to 55. This is going to be moving through Caruthersville at around 7:18. Tiptonville at around 7:26, Dyersburg at 7:40, Union City, line of storms coming through at around 7:53, Rutherford at around 8:04. And let's go down for a little closer view of this activity, and you can see here getting close to the Caruthersville area. Steele is here as well. And this is going to be moving over the storm that's coming out of Arkansas, may be approaching the Dyersburg area as well. All right, we are 7:10 here this evening, and this line of storms moving across the area as expected. We do have some showers and thunderstorms here in places like, well, we've just had some thunder and lightning from Paducah on down into Marshall County, west of Murray. None of this is severe. So if you're in Paducah or Benton or Murray or Mayfield and you're like, he hadn't mentioned us, we're getting light thunder and lightning, it's not severe. If we're not talking about you, that's good. That's what you want. We do have areas that we do have more concerning storms right now that are severe, and so those are where we're focusing in on the areas that are currently under a threat for severe weather. We're certainly not forgetting about anyone, so if you're seeing thunder and lightning, if we're not talking about you, don't worry, things are okay in your area. Let's go back up to southern Illinois, and our storm approaching Carbondale and Cobden right now. And again, this is a pretty well-defined straight line wind threat and a little tiny bow echo around Carbondale and then back toward Cobden, just the slightest little kink in that line. There's nothing that's just jumping off the page. It does look like, I believe this may be a new tornado warning they expanded that just a little bit farther south. So until 7:30, this tornado warning is basically from just north of Anna up toward Cobden here in Union County. And again, this is it's not going to be a long track tornado. It's not going to be one that's well defined on radar, but just along that line with the way the wind is aligned in the atmosphere. There's a lot of wind shear tonight. As you go higher, the winds are turning different directions. And so these lines of storms can produce a brief spin-up type tornado very quickly. Most of the time in these setups, it's likely that there will be a couple of tornadoes that touch down and do damage and then lift again before the radar can sweep all the way back around and detect it. So in a night like tonight, if you come under a tornado warning, we want you to just go ahead and take shelter and assume that even if you don't see a big track of damage on radar, just assume that there is that potential. These storms are moving really fast, 55 miles per hour, so you don't have a whole lot of time to act anyway. So just go ahead and get to your safe place, ride it out for 30 minutes, and then once the storms move through, all is good, and you're back to it. Carbondale, the worst of the storm has come through right now. We're now seeing the leading edge of that line here in Williamson County. And this is coming in quickly to Heron, Carterville, Heron, Johnson City, and then up not too far to the south of West Frankfort. We are, again, this is mainly a line of strong winds, but can possibly produce a tornado with little to no notice. Then on down here from McCannon to Cobden, you can see there's a little bit of a bow in this. It's not perfectly straight, so that's why that tornado warning was extended down into Union County from Cobden over toward the Lick Creek area. Take a quick look at a couple of things behind the scenes. We do have our colleagues at the National Weather Service. They're working extremely hard tonight to kind of keep us in the loop on what's going on out there, and if there are any reports of damage, they'll have that for us. In northwest Tennessee, we're still kind of playing the waiting game as these storms get ready to move in there. The Paducah National Weather Service, let's see. No reports of damage as of the past few minutes. And again, we're going to stay with you until these tornado warnings are allowed to expire. And we're also, of course, streaming live on our Facebook fan page, so you can catch us there. All right, and on Facebook, seeing a lot of folks asking for information on when these storms are coming into western Kentucky. So let's step back here a little bit and get you caught up on. I'm going to kind of take you back to the wide home view across the region, and let's go back over to actual reflectivity on radar and kind of give you an overview here. First things first, there is a line of storms from near Calvert City and Benton to Murray and on in Tennessee. These are not severe. They're more elevated storms. They're out ahead of our main line. It's possible that these could work the atmosphere over enough to slightly reduce the severity of this main line that's coming in, but I don't believe it's going to have that much of an impact. So I would not let our guards down in Kentucky just yet. The main line right now stretches from Mount Vernon to Carbondale to Cape Girardeau, just west of New Madrid, and right down close to the Dyersburg area. Once this line gets past you, you're in the clear. So Poplar Bluff, Fredericktown, Marble Hill, Perryville, DuQuoin, you guys are done with severe weather for tonight. Here is, and we do a reminder, we have a tornado watch that's in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. That is for the entire Local 6 area. And down toward Nashville, over toward Bowling Green, there'll probably be a watch issued at some point soon. Here's why we have this severe weather. Massive contrast in temperatures, those mid-70s, Nashville to Louisville, 31 in Springfield. And so with that very strong cold front coming in, once those storms move through, the temperatures are going to drop rapidly. So let's go through the hour-by-hour forecast here so that you can see what we're looking at. We're at 7 o'clock right now. This is kind of that messy stuff that's out ahead of our main line, and you can see by 8 o'clock, storms coming on over into western Kentucky. By 9 to 10 o'clock, we're pretty much done with the severe weather, and by midnight, we're back in the 40s across the area. So it is going to be, over the next 4 to 5 hours, a major drop in temperatures heading our way. So get ready for that. All right, let's go back to our radar and get you caught up on the latest on what we're seeing. So let's go do a track here on the storms moving into western Kentucky. So right now, there's actually a little gap here from Sikeston to New Madrid where we don't have any current warnings. The line of storms actually looks, on reflectivity, fairly impressive, but we're not quite seeing the strong returns on radar. But nonetheless, let me track that for you here and give you an idea of some of the arrival times for some of our Kentucky counties with this main line of storms here. So let's do that and then take these over. They're moving at about 55 miles per hour. So the main batch of storms will be coming into Cairo in about 20 minutes. Clinton at around 7:49. Fulton at 8 o'clock, and Paducah at around 8:09. Mike, you have something new for us?
Yeah, new tornado warning, northern Williamson County and southeastern Franklin County until 7:45. Severe thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage were located over Heron, moving east at 55.
Okay. All right, so let's get you caught up on that storm. Oh, and there we go. Here, before we get to that, let's go ahead and just break this down real quick because this just came in. I said that there wasn't a warning here, but it still looked impressive. Well, sure enough, we got a new severe thunderstorm warning until 8 o'clock. And check this out. The wind speeds now coming up to 70 miles per hour. So we've got the potential for considerable winds and possible wind damage and a tornado possible. And really and our radar data has just dropped out briefly here. Let's go back over. It'll come back in just a second. We've had some issues, and I talked to our radar provider earlier. They're looking into it. It appears to be an issue with some of their equipment. But you can see that from Sikeston to New Madrid, right there is that corridor of some stronger straight line winds. And this is going to be approaching La Center, Bardwell, and Clinton over the next 30 to 45 minutes or so. Again, let me put some tracks, kind of do a smaller track on a couple of these segments here. So, and now we got a new tornado warning. All right. That latest printout, did we have still moving at 60? Moving east at 60 miles per hour.
Let's see. So this one's the tornado warning. Pulaski County, Alexander, Carlisle County, Ballard County. These are moving east at 65.
Okay.
So let's see. This one was a severe thunderstorm.
So these storms, again, they're moving at about between 55 and 60 miles per hour, most of these. All right, so here's some locations for you here. Charleston, 728, Cairo, 738, La Center, 749, Metropolis at 803, and Paducah at around 811. And it does look like, all of a sudden we've got an area here that appears to have some pretty strong rotation, and this is back here, right here. You can see between just a couple miles to the southeast of Blodgett, and this is coming into southern Scott County over toward the Dealstad area along Highway 77. So this pocket of some bright colors here, that's some very strong winds, certainly winds going toward the radar site, but there's some indication of some rotation trying to develop here. So that's why we have this tornado warning that's now been issued. Let me zoom, well, some of the locations in this warning: Dealstad, Charleston, over toward Wyatt. It would appear that the storm probably goes north there. I have to watch out around Cairo, Mountain City, over toward the Wickliffe area. Those all included in this tornado warning. I want to zoom this out just a little bit. This, again, really just kind of developed here in the last couple of radar scans. And again, doesn't take long for this to go from really not looking too impressive to all of a sudden something pops up. That's the kind of environment that we're in tonight, with the potential for these to pop some quick spin-ups with little notice. So moving on to the east, again, we really want you to be paying attention around Cairo, Wickliffe, up toward La Center, Barlow, all in the path of this storm. Let's stop this, and I want to go quickly over to the regular radar. So yeah, it's certainly, and another thing too, there's a pretty good chance that any tornadoes that may happen to drop down, they're going to be rain wrapped, so it's going to be hard for you to see those. We've got numerous warnings to cover, so let me kind of go up and down the line here. That's one tornado warning that we're watching. There's a new tornado warning for the southern end of this line. That tornado warning extends into our West Kentucky counties, Cunningham to Bardwell to Clinton, Hickman, you guys under tornado warnings, and East Prairie down toward New Madrid. With this line of storms, it's right here along I-55. And that tornado warning until 8:15. That includes New Madrid County, Mississippi County in Missouri, Fulton, Hickman, and Carlisle County in western Kentucky. That's until 8:15, and then Ballard County back into northern Mississippi and southern Scott County, a tornado warning until 8 o'clock. There's two different areas of rotation that we're tracking here. As we go back to our velocity, we've got one area of rotation that's over here, again, close to Dealstad, and then let me look at a different product here. There's a second area of rotation that's right here. It's not extremely well defined, but there's enough there that it warrants a tornado warning. And really, anywhere along this line that's along I-55, we've got the potential for rotation. We've also got the potential here with any of these storms for some possibly extensive straight line wind damage as well. So all things to keep in mind here. Let me take a look at a couple things here on the National Weather Service chat. Looks like we do have some damage reports on Highway AA in Cape Girardeau County, so we'll watch out for that. But right here we've got this area of rotation that's here in southern Scott County. It's headed toward Cairo. We've got more tornado warnings off to the north, so I need to bounce up to those. Just hang with us here. We've got a lot going on, and so we'll cover this as best we can. We've got tornado warning here for northern Union County in southern Illinois. Let me go back to radar so that it's just a little easier to pick out what we've got going on here. Tornado warning here, north of Anna. That warning is still in effect. Our tornado warning in Williamson County, also still in effect till 7:30. And then there's a new tornado warning, I believe, that has been issued here up toward West Frankfort and Johnson City until 7:45 tonight. So these are all areas of radar indicated rotation there. Up and down this line, Benton to West Frankfort, just past Heron, and right just past the Carterville area coming into Marion. So these are basically along I-57 right now. Anywhere along this line, expect the potential for wind damage over 60 miles per hour and some brief spin-up tornadoes. Again, that will be very difficult to detect on radar because they just don't last very long. Let's look for any signs of debris. There actually, this is a little, let me loop this here and see if anything, see if that's sustained or just kind of a blip in the radar. I think that's just kind of a radar blip, but that's at least worth watching here south of Benton. There's a little bit of rotation here. If I'm south of Benton and southeast of Benton, Illinois, here in Franklin County, I would go ahead and be taking shelter in those areas because I think there might be a little spin up here along Highway 34 just to the south of Benton. So let's keep an eye on that. Spin up possible just south of West Frankfort and here in northern Williamson County off to the east of Heron. So let's watch those areas as well. All right, let's get back down the line. We've also got tornado warning in effect from Marion south over just in the north of Goreville with this line that may produce some straight line winds and possibly a spin up tornado. But again, we're watching this zone of rotation that's now just north of Charleston, Missouri, and yeah, you can see on radar, there's actually a little bit of a hook right there. Do you see that? That's off maybe probably less than 10 miles north of Charleston, Missouri. It's about 6 miles north of town. A little hook right there, and if we switch back over to our velocity, you can see those winds kind of swirling around here. So that is where we have maybe a little bit more of an enhanced threat for a tornado to drop down quickly. And this is moving into some pretty rural area right there along the Mississippi River. So and this may very well cross the Mississippi a couple of times. Right now, it probably is going to go in between Cairo and Mound City. That would take it again over into Ballard County, most likely coming in close to Mound City, Barlow, and not far from La Center. So let's be watching that one. Again, could produce a quick spin-up tornado there in relatively with relatively little notice. Checking again our folks at the Weather Service offices in Paducah and Memphis to see if there's any damage reports. And again, I do want you to, if you have a chance, obviously number one, most important thing is to stay safe as these storms move through. But we do want you to give us any heads up if you've got damage reports. Hop on Facebook. It's Trent Okerson, WPSD Local 6. That's my professional page. Get on there and message me if you have anything that you need us to know about as far as damage, and we'll pass that along to the folks at the Weather Service. Let's zoom out just a little bit here, and I'm going to give you another track on this, and then we'll talk about our tornado warning that's south of here. So these storms all moving off at about 55 to 60 miles per hour, and I better zoom out just so we can get all the real estate on the radar. So from here, our potential tornado warning storm, if it continues on this path, Caro, we've only got about 6 minutes before this thing starts to move into town. So let's go ahead and be taking shelter, Caro and up toward Mound City. This will be moving over into the middle of Ballard County, La Center at around 7:47. If it continues on, this will probably be in the Paducah area within the next 30 to 40 minutes. So just after 8 o'clock, Ledbetter at around 8:14, Calvert City way over here in the line of these storms at around 8:21 this evening. So again, this area of rotation here headed toward Caro, Mound City, Barlow, and La Center in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then on down the line, we've got this large tornado warning that includes Carlisle, Hickman, Fulton County, as well as southern Mississippi and New Madrid County. There's another little spot here that has a little rotation off to the southeast of Sykeston, and kind of a little bit of a messier look to the radar back to the east of New Madrid. And again, you can see there's a little bit of a bow right here, little kink there, and then a little kink here as well. Those little kind of almost like a backwards C is where we've got some enhanced straight line winds, and at kind of the top of that bow echo is where there's a potential for at least a little bit more potential for maybe a spin up of a tornado there. So let's put a track on that line of storms as well. So this line, we'll track that east at about 55 miles per hour. So Hickman, worst of the storm coming in here in about 10 to 12 minutes, 7:42 arrival time based on the computer data there. Clinton at around 7:52, Fulton at 8:02, Mayfield at 8:13, and Benton at around 8:28. Again, this is for this line of storms. The biggest concern with this line will still be the straight line winds, but within that line of storms, there may be the potential for a brief spin up of a tornado. On down the line into Tennessee, a little bit of good news here as the tornado warnings that were in effect as this thing came in from the west, those have been allowed to expire. Those are now severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's a pretty expansive severe thunderstorm warning. So that now includes folks from Union City to Martin, Dresden, all the way down through portions of Gibson County, around Rutherford and Trenton, Dyersburg as well. So this is a 70 mile per hour wind threat with this line of storms, potential for some considerable wind damage and a tornado possible. Anywhere along this line, there is some potential for a spin up of a tornado there. So let me put a track on this entire line. Our radar data keeps, there's an issue going on with the data feed from the Paducah radar site to our graphics vendor, so it drops out briefly, then it comes right back there. Dyersburg, arrival time at 7:38, Union City at 7:52, Martin at 8:06, Dresden at 8:16, and McKenzie at 8:30. Again, anywhere in these areas of West Tennessee over the next hour, you've got the potential for some widespread winds of at least 50 to 60, possibly 70 miles per hour, as well as the potential for a brief spin up of a tornado. Murray, we're getting some storms right now, but again, those are not currently severe. Our main line is just now closing in here on the Mississippi River. Into southern Illinois, again, we have things improving a little bit. A couple of our tornado warnings have now been allowed to expire. Currently, we have one little sliver of a tornado warning that's still in effect until 7:45. That includes West Frankfort and Thompsonville over toward northern and northwestern Williamson County, off to the northwest, or northeast rather, of Marion. So let's go back over to our velocity data. That's actually picking up the Evansville site. Let's look at it from Paducah. Okay, and there is still, off to the east of Marion, a little kink in that line that's a little on the concerning side. Yeah, over here east of Pittsburgh, north of Crab Orchard, and again, there's Thompsonville with another little spot where the radar kind of kinks over there. But we'll watch this as it moves over toward Galatia into Saline County. We'll have to keep an eye here. I would not be surprised if we end up maybe with a tornado warning for northern sections of Saline County, north of Harrisburg over toward El Dorado, Galatia, and then up into parts of southern Hamilton County as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. As we kind of work our way farther south, that's a new tornado warning that's in effect here for Johnson County and parts of Union County. Again, this is going to be a radar indicated area of rotation that goes until 8 o'clock tonight, and that includes Goreville, Tunnel Hill, Vienna, Buncombe, down towards Cypress, Lick Creek, and Dongola. So here along Route 146, the worst of the storm right now is kind of halfway between Anna and Vienna, moving over toward Buncombe. And look real quick here at the reflectivity, and you can see some very heavy rain from right along I-57 right now. So the strongest part of that storm pressing in here to the east. Let's kind of zoom that out just a little bit. That tornado warning extends all the way back toward Dongola, and right there, that is actually a little bit more significant area of rotation. Yeah, that's okay. You see that little kink right here near Olin? Mike, do you have the printout for that warning by chance? That newest tornado warning that came out.
Yeah, let's see.
So that's actually in northern Pulaski County, off near the Olin, Illinois area. That's not too far away, of course, from Shawnee College.
New one that just came out, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
So this storm, moving off to the northeast at 60 miles per hour, moving toward Vienna at 740, Goreville, Lake of Egypt at around 745. This is for, again, radar indicated rotation, but pretty well defined little spot that just popped up there. Let's see, we've got, all right, new tornado warning just south of there. All right, so let me go to that. Let's see, do see another report coming out of several power outages and trees down across Jackson County, Illinois, as this line of storms came through, and also power lines that are tipped over around Cambria, Illinois. So we're getting a lot of reports of wind damage with this line of storms. Even if we don't get a spin-up tornado, we're getting reports of that that damage. All right, so here's our newest tornado warning. Let's watch this. This is going to be a little bit of an issue, I think, go off to the northeast of Olin, and the reflectivity kind of lines up with that. It's actually a little bit ahead of the velocity data, and you can see where it kind of right in here. So you've got a little area of spin here and then here. So that is the concerning part of this. Let me move the camera around. We'll put a track on this. This is actually moving a little bit more northeasterly than some of our other storms have. So let's just do a cone and track this off to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. That's going to cover a lot of space. This is going to be in Vienna in less than 10 minutes, most likely. So between Vienna and Tunnel Hill, here along Highway 45, crossing I-24, the Vienna exit there we'll have to watch out. Again, our radar data will come back here in just a second. So Vienna at 747, Tunnel Hill at 754. If this thing holds together, it goes up toward Harrisburg by 818. I don't know that it's going to make it that far north, but certainly here in the next 10 to 15 minutes across Johnson County, we need to be taking this one pretty seriously. That's a pretty nasty looking storm with what was a pretty well-defined radar signature back here near Olin, Illinois. All right, on to the south, we've got another tornado warning that's been issued for this area of rotation that's off now north of Cairo. Go back over here, click this back on. So again, our radar data will be coming back. This tornado warning polygon, that includes southern Pulaski County, northern Ballard County. It actually includes a very small area of northwestern McCracken County, and then portions of Massac County along Highway 45 just north of Metropolis. So this does include Joppa and over toward the Karnak area. And again, let's go over here and look at our velocity data. And it looks like that velocity feed got slightly interrupted. Now it's coming back. So right here, that's the other spot that we're a little more concerned about. This is right along the Ohio River, the very small little village of America, and that's going to move over here into northern Ballard. So this could be tracking near Oscar and up 1105 toward Monkey's Eyebrow. And then from there, possibly, if it continues on as it moves east of Monkey's Eyebrow over on 358 and 473 off here pretty close to the Ballard and McCracken County line. So be watching that. Again, all of these tornado warnings tonight, these are not long track, intense, easy to track tornadoes. These are, this whole line of storms is producing very strong straight line damaging winds, and then along that line you get these little brief spin ups. We're still looking at a little spot here that's moving into Johnson County in between Olin and Vienna. You've got another little spin up here again close to the Ohio River, moving up the river here, maybe close to Joppa and just to the north of Oscar and Monkey's Eyebrow. You got another little area of rotation that's south of Cairo. None of these are going to be long-lasting tornadoes that are on the ground for any long length of time. But what makes them dangerous, number one, it's nighttime, you can't see it. Number two, it's rain-wrapped. And number three, they don't last long. And so you don't know sometimes that they're coming on radar. And so if you're in one of these tornado warnings, we need to just go ahead and shelter in place. These are very fast-moving storms. All of this is moving off to the northeast at around 55 miles per hour. And so you won't have to stay sheltered for a long time, but we need you to go ahead and just ride these out. Let's track this, the warning here that's coming up from around the America storm that I just showed you. Monkey's Eyebrow at 747, Joppa at 757, Temple Hill at 811, and then maybe Golconda at 820 if it holds together. That area of rotation most likely will pass north of Metropolis, so it's going to be more in the northern part of Massac County, possibly up toward the New Columbia area. We've also got this other area of rotation. We've got really strong winds that are getting ready to come through Ballard County, and it's moving off to the northeast at around 55 miles per hour. So the worst of the storm coming into La Center at about 750. Paducah, we still expect that line of storms to roll through just after 8 o'clock, between 8 and 8:15. Metropolis at 8:05, Paducah at 8:13, Smithland at 8:27, and then Salem, Kentucky at around 8:36. And you can see there's a big severe thunderstorm warning that just came out, so let's get you up to speed on that. We appreciate you bearing with us here tonight, and again, know there's a lot of us that are watching. I'll get to this here in just a second. This new severe thunderstorm warning runs until 8:30, and that is for the potential for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and a tornado possible tag on that. Right now, any of these areas along this entire line could produce spin-up tornadoes, but also we've had multiple reports of straight-line wind damage that at times has been fairly extensive with this line of storms. So Paducah, all of McCracken County, all of Graves County in that new severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado potential tag and the possibility of some more extensive areas of wind damage. All right, our new radar scan coming in here out of southern Mississippi County. This is a pretty intense area of rotation that's covered in this tornado warning. Remember that we have a tornado warning in effect for Carlisle, Hickman, and Fulton counties until 8:15, and this area of rotation that's just maybe 5 miles north of Hickman is getting ready to come across the Ohio River, or the Mississippi River. And so it's pretty close to the Durana Ferry area there along the river, and this is going to be coming right here into Hickman County and down pretty close to the Clinton area pretty soon, probably the next 10 to 15 minutes. So if we're here in Hickman County, let's go ahead and start taking shelter with this. This is a little bit more of an enhanced area of rotation that's showing up, and the reflectivity has kind of supported that. There's a little bit of I think the reflectivity is updating a little faster than the velocity is, but more intense part of the storm right here off to the southwest of Columbus. So if you live here on Highway 58 near Clinton and off to the north of town, that's one of the areas that we're concerned about, that we want to be taking shelter here in these areas. Again, on south into northwest Tennessee, we've got a large area under a severe thunderstorm warning there. Let me go down for a quick check of our storms in Tennessee. And again, our severe thunderstorm warning is in effect here until 8:30 for 70-mile-per-hour winds, tornado possible. This line of storms is getting close to Union City. Let's put a quick track here on that as this entire line of storms is moving off to the east-northeast at about 55 miles per hour. So that line of storms headed up toward Union City at around 7:51, Martin at 8:04, Dresden at 8:15, McKenzie at 8:32, and Paris at around 8:41. Quick check on the chat with the Weather Service. Yeah, they were also picking up on that circulation that's down toward Columbus, Kentucky. So right now, that strongest part of that storm, again, from Columbus, near the state park there, going to be moving pretty close to Arlington and Milburn, Kentucky as well. So let's go back up to that storm. Again, bear with us here. I know we're jumping all over the place, but we've got a number of tornado warnings that we're watching right now, so we'll do the best we can to keep everybody updated there. That's the strongest rotation that we have on radar at the moment. Let's check and see if there's any debris that's showing up. I don't see anything as of this moment, but that's definitely one to watch. Let me loop this. I want to see how this has evolved over the last few minutes. All right, so you can see it was here pretty close to Durana, and it's actually shooting off toward the northeast. So, all right, let's track that off to the northeast from where it is right now. So 55 miles per hour. If it continues up that way, So this could take a jog up here into Carlisle County, maybe toward Fancy Farm by 8:04. And right along Highway 45, pretty close to the McCracken-Graves line at around 8:15 or so. Again, I don't expect this to hold together for that long of a period of time, but it's not out of the question that it could. So here in Carlisle County, well, let's go ahead and be taking shelter here from this. Let's go down for a little bit of a closer view and get some of the street names plotted out for you, at least some of the highways here. And again, there's Columbus right there. It's moving up toward Arlington along 51 and Highway 80. Let's go down even a little bit closer and kind of stop this so that it's showing up here for us. All right, again, as of the last velocity scan near Columbus, it's probably up closer to Arlington right now, so crossing there the Highway 80 and 51 intersection. It would probably go a little bit south of Bardwell, but not too far away from 1377 between Bardwell and Milburn. We'll have to watch out over toward Kirbyton, Cunningham, and then Highway 849 over toward Lowe's and Fancy Farm. Some of the spots that we need to be going ahead and taking shelter. Let's not take any chances with this, as again, this entire line of storms could produce damaging winds in addition to that threat for a spin-up tornado as it moves through here in Carlisle and Hickman County. Up the line, we still have our tornado warning in effect for Ballard County. At the moment, there's not anything that's just really strong or well-defined rotation. It does look like our tornado warning that was in effect for Johnson County, that was allowed to expire as the rotation weakened, but there is still a line of strong storms and strong winds here from Harrisburg toward Vienna. We'll watch this. At the moment, Johnson County does not have a warning, but it does look like there's some pretty intense winds along the leading edge of that line of storms. So again, our main concern right now is this storm that's right here along the Carlisle and Hickman County line. And you can see here that pop of blue, that is going to line up with you can see some possibly near 70-mile-per-hour winds just with the straight radar feed of data from there, and also moving here not too far away from Wickliffe, possibly some 60-mile-per-hour winds with the storms there. Let's go back over to another velocity product and just a quick check to see if there's any debris that shows up here. Don't see anything at the moment, so that's good news there. Mike, you see anything on your end?
I do not see any debris. I do see that circulation that was mentioned over Columbus, though. That does looks like that's the biggest concern at the moment.
And I would say even if there is not a tornado, there is going to be a pocket between Columbus and Arlington right now, I would imagine, of over 70-mile-per-hour winds, looking at some of the data behind the scenes. So those really strong winds coming into southern Carlisle County, northern Hickman County, would not be surprised if we have over 70-mile-per-hour winds there.
Yeah, that's got a really strong velocity signature.
All right. And again, if you're just joining us here on TV, we are streaming live on our Facebook fan page, as always. And so if you lose power, if you don't have access to a TV, we are on and streaming, and you can catch us there. We'll stay with you as long as we need to here. We've still got multiple tornado warnings in effect. Let's run down the list of those tornado warnings. Technically, still a tornado warning until 8:15 for parts of Massac County, and a little small sliver of Pulaski, and a very small portion of northwest McCracken. Ballard County, far western McCracken County under tornado warning until 8:15. Tornado warning here for Carlisle, Hickman, and Fulton County until 8:15 as well. Severe thunderstorm warning for Metropolis, Paducah, Simpsonia, Reedland on down toward Mayfield and Graves County until 8:30 for the possibility of damaging winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. All right, let's go back down here. We're still looking at this area of some rotation that is near Columbus and Arlington. This is, that radar scan is a little old at this point. So we're probably talking about, this is more likely now from here it's moved into this area. So here in southern Carlisle County and northern Hickman County, that's going to be our area of greatest concern at the moment. We have had a little bit of an issue with the radar data getting from Paducah to our radar vendor and then back into our system. So what you're seeing here on radar is probably just a little bit old. Storm is moving very fast, and so it's out ahead of what you're seeing. Let's do a track on this entire line as it moves off to the northeast at 55 miles per hour. So the worst of the storm coming into Metropolis again around 8:05, Paducah at about 8:13, Simpsonia 8:22, Benton at around 8:35, Marion, Kentucky at around 8:48. If you look down the line, Paducah down toward Mayfield, you're going to be probably on that 8:15 range as well. So we got about 20 minutes before this comes into Graves County. All right, let's go back over and take a look at our velocity. Okay, we did get a new update, and it does look like maybe that rotation's a little less defined, but we still have this big area of some very strong winds here in Carlisle County. So while we're not seeing the rotation necessarily, the latest, let's clear that off, my bad. Look at that, 70, 76, 74 mile per hour winds here in this pocket. And again, the storm is now out ahead of this. So south of Cunningham, here in eastern sections of Carlisle County, this is where we're going to have possibly over 70 mile per hour winds. And we did just get a new tornado warning that includes the Paducah area. So our phones are blowing up here. Bear with us. All right, let me get.
This one's the full Paducah warning.
Okay, so this is a large tornado warning. Okay, so let me zoom this out. And let's pop it back over to regular radar just for a second and center this up for you. Again, we're going to stick with you until these warnings are allowed to expire. This is a huge tornado warning. So obviously we're not going to have, this entire area is not going to have a tornado. What the National Weather Service is doing here, this entire line of storms is intense. And there is the potential, as the warning reads out, severe thunderstorm capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage located from near Karnak to near Bardwell, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. And that is going to be moving into near the Barkley Regional Airport area about 8 o'clock, Paducah, Metropolis, Dixon Springs, West Paducah at around 8:05, Lone Oak, Brookport around 8:10, Reedland, Golconda, Ledbetter around 8:20, Berna at around 8:30, and Calvert City at around 8:35. So again, this entire line of storms is going to be producing some very intense winds, as well as the threat for some spin-up type tornadoes. As we've been talking about kind of all evening long, we're not really going to see on radar necessarily any well-defined areas of rotation. It will just be these possible spin-ups that may produce a tornado with little to no warning. At the moment, there's not really anything that's just jumping out to me. I am looking at some radar data behind the scenes here to see if there's anything that is concerning there. But at the moment, it looks like it's mainly just a long area of straight line winds. But within that area of straight line winds, we may have possibly some quick spin-ups. So right now here, the main area of our straight line winds just now from La Center up to about Joppa, and then moving over toward Paducah. It's going to be rolling through McCracken County here over the next about 10 to 15 minutes. Keeping an eye on Sky Tracker right now off to the west, and a lot of lightning coming in. But at the moment, it's going to be hard to see anything. That's another thing you have to keep in mind with these storms. They are, any possible tornado is going to be rain wrapped. You won't be able to see it, so there's no need to try to spot it. Go ahead and take shelter right now if you're in this tornado warning. All right. So again, let's go back over. I'm going to go back over to regular radar here because I think that might kind of show us a better idea of what's going on. And I'm going to zoom this out just a little bit and put a loop on there. So here is our radar loop. And you can see the leading edge of that line of storms that runs here from west of Metropolis, right along the Massac and Ballard, or the McCracken and Ballard County line, and then on down into Carlisle County. This line right here has the potential to produce 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, and it's not out of the question that a brief spin-up tornado could be possible at any point along that line. And again, bear with us, our radar data has had these very brief temporary dropouts. This entire line right here closing in on the radar site for us in Paducah with the possibility of some strong damaging winds. At the moment, we are not tracking anything that just jumps off the page as far as rotation, but it's an environment tonight that is favorable for these little bitty spin-up tornadoes that could produce rotation and a tornado with little warning. Mike, if you don't mind, if you'll kind of keep an eye on Sky Tracker for me and kind of spin that maybe around to the northwest. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on things there. If you guys actually, Alex, if you're there, if there's any chance you could pop up the Sky Tracker from the tower cam at the old station. I'm not sure if we can do that and take a quick look at that. We'll stay on radar until we're able to possibly get that view on Sky Tracker here. We've got folks that are back behind the scenes working hard for us tonight as well. I do want to go back down here to the storm that's in Carlisle County, a pocket here of potentially damaging winds of over 70 miles per hour here. Those bright colors on Highway 51 south of Bardwell moving into eastern Carlisle County, certainly the potential for winds of over 70 miles per hour, and that really extends all the way down toward Clinton and Fulton as well. Take a look at one other thing here. There is a lot of lightning here from north of Metropolis right on down into western McCracken County. So when you see this, these are all lightning flashes within about 5 minutes or so And so we're still getting some vivid lightning just here from Massac down through McCracken and Ballard. 41 lightning strikes in the last 5 minutes. So very healthy storm that's ongoing here. All right, there's that view from Sky Tracker. Let's just stay on this just for a second. I just want to see, okay, so there you go. There's the lightning flashes. And you saw, we'll hang with this just for a second. There's a pretty decent shelf cloud that I just saw there as the lightning flash. Yeah, there you go. I didn't see any signs of lowering of the clouds, but just kind of the shelf cloud that went straight across the sky. And so that's an indication that we do have those strong straight line winds coming in. This is looking from the old television station out over exit 7 along I-24. All right, can we take a look at the downtown Paducah view real quick, and then we'll go back to radar. Yeah, that certainly a nice, well-defined shelf cloud, but didn't see any lowering there. If we're able to switch over to the weather metrics cam, the downtown Paducah, yeah, there we go. Mike, are you able to spin that around?
Yeah, let me see if I can get logged in through here, because I'm not able to go to your other monitor here.
Ah, I got you. Okay. Well, we'll take this view just for a second. Again, you can see some lightning strikes there. Let's head back over to radar and get you caught up there again. As right now, you see those strong straight line winds right here. I'm not seeing anything in terms of rotation that just is well defined right now. This is really more, at least what we're seeing on radar, strong straight line winds that are coming in to Metropolis at the moment and coming out right toward the airport. So this is going to be barreling down Highway 60, coming into the middle of Paducah in about the next 5 to 10 minutes. So the wind will pick up dramatically here in McCracken County between now and about 8:15 to 8:20. Same here along 145 from Metropolis up toward Dixon Springs. That's where we have the leading edge of the very strong winds coming in here. So Dixon Springs over toward Golconda and Brookport, we'll have those really strong winds coming in the next 10 to 15 minutes there. And then on to the south, the leading edge of these storms here right along the Graves County line. There is right now a severe thunderstorm warning for Graves County. Tornado warning is off to the west there, but not at the moment, just strong straight line winds expected here in Graves County. All right, let's go back over and turn back our velocity data here. Don't want to miss anything as these storms move in. So again, it's the green is where the winds are sweeping in from the northwest. You can actually see some little lines here where the wind is just howling in, and then winds coming out of the southwest out ahead of this line of storms. So in that zone where the colder, drier air is colliding with the warm, humid air out of the southwest, you get this area that is producing some very strong downdrafts along the leading edge of that line of storms. But at the moment, this is really more of a straight line wind threat with the potential for embedded small spin-up tornadoes. So let's go ahead and just be in shelter here across McCracken County, Massac County, southern Pope County, over into far Livingston County as well. Smithland included in this tornado warning. Again, right now, Smithland, we still have a solid 20 minutes before this line of storms rolls through. But as it does come in, we're going to have that potential for possibly some brief spin-up tornado threats there. All right, let's zoom out just a little bit here and make sure that we're staying aware of what's going on elsewhere across the region. Again, down toward Graves County. That line of storms here extends all the way down toward Martin. And again, severe thunderstorm warnings continue on here in Tennessee as well. Likely seeing some strong straight line winds coming into Martin in just a few minutes, and on down toward Trenton, Tennessee, and soon to be moving into the Dresden area as well. So again, we've got those southwest winds coming in here just ahead of our line of storms. Now we've got a new tornado warning that just popped on for southern Graves County with possibly a little embedded area of rotation there. So let me zoom down and give you that information. So we'll watch. There's a little area out here that might have the potential to spin something up, a little circulation possibly forming off to the northeast of Fulton. So tornado warning until 8:45 for southern Graves County. That's going to include Wingo and Sedalia and Farmington. It looks kind of the southern bypass there around Mayfield is in that polygon, but downtown Mayfield is not in that tornado warning. Let me check in here with the Weather Service again. Looks like we got a report of a tree down, possibly on fire near South Fulton, Tennessee, but not seeing any recent reports of damage in the area. If you do have any reports of damage, we want you to stay safe. Obviously, that's your main concern, but we want you to, if you don't mind, if you do have any damage after the storm's passed and it's safe to do so, pass those along to me on my Facebook fan page, Trent Okerson, WPSD Local 6, and I'll pass that along to the Weather Service. Again, there is our tornado warning in effect for southern Graves County. Right here, let me go down for a little bit of a closer view on that. Just to the east of Water Valley, we're getting some pretty strong spikes in the wind speeds there. You can see a couple of little pixels cranking out 70-mile-per-hour winds in that area. And this is going to be moving off to the northeast at around 60 miles per hour. So the worst of that is going to be near Wingo over toward 129, Cuba to Sedalia, and again over maybe close to the Farmington area. So here in southern Graves County, let's be taking shelter for the possibility of perhaps some straight line winds and the potential for a brief spin-up tornado. As we loop this here, you can see this is generally moving east-northeast. And so let's put a track on that part of this storm as it moves off to the east-northeast at around 55 to 60 miles per hour. So if it holds together against Sedalia in the path at around 821, Lynn Grove at around 829, Murray at 836, and then Aurora at 850, and Katie's at 910, again, if it manages to hold together in those areas. So we'll keep an eye on that. As far as our tornado warning here for Massac, McCracken County, Pope County, Western Livingston County, this mainly appears right now to be more of a straight line wind threat, and we've had multiple reports along this line of storms of possibly some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Mike, do you have something for me?
Yeah, I was looking at the sky tracker and I didn't see any lowering with any of the clouds, which is good. I turned it to the southwest, so even if you want to pull that up, I can bring that up here.
Yeah, we'll pull that up here real quick.
Okay.
Bear with me here for a moment. We've got to do a quick microphone change. All right, are we good? Can you guys hear me okay? All righty. Good deal. All right, yeah, so our line of storms continues to move off to the east. We should see this clear the area between 9 and 9:30 tonight. So that'll be, again, by 9 to 9:30, this line of storms will be east of the lakes area and off toward Madisonville, Hopkinsville. By the way, if you're over toward Madisonville, Hopkinsville, Cadiz right now, that line of storms, that's not severe. Obviously, all the warnings that are back to the west is still the main event, and that's still to come for you guys. All right, well, let's get a quick update here on all of our different warnings that we have across the area. So I'm going to go back to the north here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning up around Carmi, line of storms now east of El Dorado and Harrisburg, and then on down into Pope County, line of storms closing in on Golconda. The worst of the weather coming through Brookport right now, coming through Paducah at the moment. It's a little bit more of a messy look to things from Paducah south toward Mayfield. There is some potential here for some straight line winds, but as far as anything really well defined rotation wise, kind of from Simpsonia and Hard Money on down toward Mayfield, radar return looks a little bit messier. Now, as you go down into southern Graves County, there's this kind of enhanced area of some damaging winds with some potential for some rotation here. The rotation does not appear to be overly impressive, but there is certainly some strong straight line wind potential. That's again here from near Wingo down toward the Sedalia area, over toward Cuba, Sedalia again close to Highway 94, and then up north of that here in southern and central Graves. Again, this is going to be a radar indicated area of rotation, nothing confirmed there, but certainly some potential for some strong straight line winds. Northwest Tennessee, worst of the storms now passing just to the east of Martin with a severe thunderstorm warning. The storms are about to move out of that warning area, so I would imagine for those of you in like Henry County, Carroll County, Eastern Weekly, we'll probably see a new severe thunderstorm warning coming down momentarily for you guys. Let's do a quick track on this line here in Tennessee, and then we'll move back up into Kentucky. So our line here, moving off to the east, and again about 55 miles per hour. Storm is rolling into Dresden right now. McKenzie at around 8:32, Paris at 8:41, and then over toward Dover at around 9 o'clock or so tonight. All right, on up the line. Let's see. Our tornado warning continues on here for a little bit longer for Pope County, western sections of Livingston. That's basically from Ledbetter to Smithland and up fairly close to Salem, and then back into McCracken County. That runs until 8:45. Again, this is a radar indicated area of rotation, along with the potential for some embedded rotation and straight line winds. And then we have a severe thunderstorm warning also that continues here. This is actually, I believe, a new warning, yes. That is until 8:30, tornado possible, winds of up to 60 miles per hour. That runs from McCracken County on down into Graves County. All right. I hear the printer going. Do we have these new warnings that are coming in?
That was cancellation of the watch in areas.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Here's the storm if there's any one spot that I'm concerned about, it's still here in southern Graves. There's that new severe thunderstorm warning I just told you would come out shortly. Right there. So you can see where there's a little bit of a, almost like a backwards S shape right there. That's where there might be some spin going on here, pretty close to Cuba and moving over toward Sedalia. So that is probably our most intense storm that we have ongoing at the moment. The velocity does not look as well defined as it did just a couple minutes ago, but there's still some indications of some stronger winds and some rotation in here as well. So that is going to be the one to watch here over the next probably 15 minutes or so as it moves from Sedalia over here into western Callaway County. Again, farther to the north, the tornado warning continues on for Paducah and over toward Smithland and up toward Golconda. At this point, it's really it's a lot of straight line wind. You can see here that clash between the green and the red. Red is where the wind is blowing away from the radar site. Green is where the wind is coming in from the west-northwest toward the radar site. And those really strong wind gusts are really cranking up here in parts of Massac County. You got a little blip here. Well, I'm going to have to stop that here, but probably at least 50 mile per hour wind gusts here. Yeah, 58 to 60 miles per hour. And that's over probably pretty close to the Pope and Massac County line, pretty rural area that's out here. What are we looking like on Sky Tracker in Paducah?
Let me pull that back up. Maybe we could get that switched over with source 2. Let's see.
Right now, it looks like in Paducah things have not been terribly strong at the moment. Yeah, there's our view right now. That's looking out from downtown Paducah, just a block or so away from the TV station, looking out toward the southwest. Rainy and breezy, but honestly, the wind's not terribly strong.
Not terrible, no.
So a little bit of good news there. Hopefully, dodging a bit of a bullet. I know we have had some reports of at least some sporadic wind damage as this line's come across the area. All right, let's go back over to radar, and we'll stay with you here. We do continue to watch these storms. This line is going to continue to plow to the east, and so as we switch back over here to radar, let's zoom this out just a little bit. I'm going to kind of give you a wider perspective across the region and loop this here. So we do have some storms closing in on Hopkinsville and Madisonville. These are probably pretty strong, but they're not severe. Right there, that's our main line of storms. Behind that, there may be a few showers, but all of this non-severe. Once the main line comes through, that's it. We're done with the severe weather threat. So right now, basically I-24 and I-57 in southern Illinois, you're in the clear. Our river counties in Kentucky, Ballard, Carlisle, Hickman, that's it for you guys. Lake, Obion, Dyer County, that's it for you. All of southeast Missouri is in the clear right now. We've just got to wait for this main line to continue its trek across Kentucky and Tennessee. And I believe we did have an adjustment. Our tornado watch has been allowed to expire west of the line. Still in effect, of course, out ahead of the line. And let's look at this temperature contrast. Check this out. We're already down to 58 in Paducah, 38 in St. Louis, 73 out ahead of this thing in Nashville. So big time cold coming in behind this storm system. We did have an expansion of our tornado watch. If you happen to have any travel plans down toward Nashville, they're now under tornado watch in that area. All right, let's go back down, and we're going to hang with you until these warnings are out of the area. We appreciate you staying with us here on an active night across the Local 6 area. Our strongest storms right now running from around Simpsonia, moving through Mayfield and on into eastern sections of Graves County. Here's that new severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, for Tennessee, for Henry County, Carroll County, Western Weakley, and Eastern Weakley and Eastern Gibson County. That runs until 9:15 this evening. And again, some pockets of damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour and a tornado possible tag with that as well. All right, let's move back up to Western Kentucky. And I want to zoom in here to our Graves County storm and get an update on what the radar data is showing us here. Pretty messy, kind of a jagged line. That little spot right there, kind of see it's almost like a little notch in there. Let's see what the velocity shows on that. I don't believe the velocity data and the radar data is lined up exactly. You can see the velocities, the stronger winds are a little bit behind where the reflectivity was lined up. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of spin here. Let me go back over to the radar. Now let's zoom that in. So yeah, over here off to the east of Cuba, this is Highway 97 that runs right along the eastern edge of Graves County, and then 94 headed over toward Lynn Grove. This might be a spot where there's a quick spin up, so we'll keep an eye on this over toward Lynn Grove. This whole line is going to be moving over toward Murray in probably about the next 15 minutes or so. So Callaway County, you guys are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Would not shock me if we get a tornado warning dropped there, just for the potential for that brief spin up. So we'll keep an eye on that. Right now, severe thunderstorm warning for Callaway County. That runs until 9 o'clock tonight. There is that tornado possible tag on that, and 60 mile per hour winds, the possibility there. And let's head back up here. All right, so here's some good news. The tornado warning for McCracken, Massac, and Pope, that has been allowed to expire. That tornado warning has been dropped a little bit early as the threat has moved on and does not appear to be quite as severe for those areas. So from Smithland to Calvert City and Simpsonia, still under a severe thunderstorm warning with the possibility for some sporadic 60+ mile per hour wind gusts there. Some strong winds moving up here into Golconda. So next in line, let's do some tracking here and give you some locations next in line for our line of storms here, even if they're not under warnings right now, from around Rosiclare down here into Livingston County. This is going to be moving up into Marion, Crittenden County. We'll probably be seeing the storms come in from the western side of the county around 8:30, and then Marion probably about 8:45. Princeton, arrival time closer to 9 o'clock there, so you can see right here along I-24 and I-69, probably getting close to Eddyville, close to about 8:45, and then on over toward Madisonville at around 9:22. And then farther to the south, here, let's go back over here to our line track. Again, moving east at about 55 miles per hour. So Benton, storm's coming in here pretty soon, in about the next 5 to 6 minutes. Murray, you've got a little shower that's coming in right now, but the main line of storms coming in at 8:40. Canton, kind of crossing over into the LBL between 8:45 and 9 o'clock. Katie's at around 9:08, and then Lafayette at around 9:23 as it moves into Christian County. And at that point, between about 9 and 9:30, these things are going to be sweeping on pretty much out of the local 6 area. This little tiny sliver of tornado warning still in effect for southeastern Graves County, but just haven't really seen anything that's super concerning as far as rotation is concerned, which is good news. I think for the most part, compared to what we could have seen, there hasn't been really any well-defined rotation circulations tonight. There's been a couple that look pretty gnarly for a radar scan or two, but they just didn't last very long. Let's go back to regular radar here. Might have a little bit of small hail east of Dresden, so we'll keep an eye on that. On down east of Greenfield, this is moving in toward McKenzie, Tennessee, up toward Puryear and Paris. We'll expect those storms to roll in soon. You get a brand new radar scan there. And again, just really kind of straight line winds, the big concern with this. So let's put a track here on these in Tennessee. Let's stay here on the Paducah radar site. And for our Tennessee friends, this is going to be moving through here over the next 30 minutes or so. Paris, Tennessee at around 8:45. McKenzie at around 8:34. I know I didn't get all the way down to Huntingdon, but Huntingdon, these storms will be moving through for you around that 8:45 time frame as well. And then Dover at about 9:10. So that'll take care of us within the next hour. We'll get rid of this in Tennessee. We're staying with you until our tornado warning here is allowed to expire in Graves County. That goes till 8:45. The storm is moving into Callaway County right now, and at this point it looks like it's more of a straight line wind threat there. And it actually looks like the severe thunderstorm warning as well, that was allowed to expire. So right now from Rosiclare down into Livingston County, Calvert City, and Benton, at this very moment, we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect there. And our radar data just dropped out there, so we'll keep an eye on that. That'll come back here in just a second. So right now we're keeping an eye on the Murray area. The tornado warning there for Graves, that was allowed to expire. And so at this very moment, we do not have any tornado warnings in effect for the local 6 area. There might be a little bit of hail here coming in pretty close to the Puryear area, but our straight line wind threat will continue here from Murray down to Paris and Huntingdon over the next few minutes. But thankfully, at the moment, our line of storms appears to be just a little bit less intense than it was earlier. Just wondering maybe if, as this line got just a little bit stronger from near the lakes area eastward, if it might have just zapped enough energy from the atmosphere to help us out just a little bit. I do not think we need to let our guard down yet. Marion, Eddyville, Princeton, down through Cadiz and Murray, we have the strongest part of this line of storms coming on through in the next few minutes. But again, at the moment, we do not have any tornado warnings in effect for our immediate area. Quick check of things in the chat with the Weather Service. We got apparently about 900 people without power in Hickman, Kentucky. We've got about 50-mile-per-hour winds reported in the last 20 minutes around Water Valley, 57-mile-per-hour gust around Palmersville, Tennessee. And so that's about the rundown as far as our damage. So looks like maybe we got got lucky here and dodged some of the worst of the damage, which, again, we're not out of the woods just yet. So here's what we're going to do. Because we don't have any tornado warnings in effect, we're not going anywhere, but we do have, of course, we have NBA on NBC right now. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a quick recap, or I'm going to do another track here on TV of these storms. We're not going anywhere. In just a few minutes, we'll go back on TV to basketball, but I'm going to stay here on Facebook Live. We will continue our Facebook Live coverage of these storms, and we'll watch it. We'll have periodic updates on TV as well. And of course, if there are any tornado warnings, we will be right back here on TV. But here's the latest on what we're seeing at the moment. Before I do that, real quick, Mike, the folks from the newspaper said that they need to get the newspaper from you.
Yes.
The newspaper weather graphic. So, all right.
Yes.
So, big shout out, Mike Javer here helping me out on this Sunday evening. And we've got, again, right now, let's kind of go down the line and I'll give you some more local updates here. Right now, some strong storms here in Livingston County. There are some pockets of strong winds here, but we're not seeing anything that's been producing damage necessarily out of these storms, at least in the last 15 minutes or so. Let's track this for you here. What's near Rosiclare and off toward Calvert City right now as it moves off to the northeast at 55. Here's some arrival times. Marion, Kentucky, 8:45 is when those storms are going to come through. At the moment, no severe thunderstorm warning for you guys. It'll be close. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds are possible. Some brief heavy rain. Right on down 641 toward Eddyville. The same time frame, about 8:47. Over toward Princeton, it's going to be about 9 o'clock with the storms rolling in there. Madisonville at about 9:21. So Fredonia, Marion, Eddyville about 8:45, Princeton, past Dawson Springs at around 9 o'clock or so. As we move on down the line from Calvert City to Benton and Murray, we've got these little wavy areas where the winds are still very strong. It's not out of the question that we could get a quick spin up there as we check out the velocity data here. We've got nothing real well defined, but we'll watch this coming into Murray. And then we've got some strong winds here from Calvert City back toward the Paducah area. In fact, there is 45, 50 mile per hour wind gusts even behind the main line of storms. So certainly some strong winds. And that's the thing, we're still under a high wind warning until 10 o'clock tonight, by the way, for most of the area. Even after the storms move through, some very strong winds, non-thunderstorm related winds coming in behind these storms. But as far as any rotation, we're not picking anything up here around Murray at the moment. So we'll put a track here on the line of storms from Benton to Murray. Moving off to the east about 55. So those coming in to Murray right now, basically. New Concord at 8:49, Katie's at around 9:08, and Lafayette around 9:21. I don't suppose we can get a look at the Murray Sky Tracker, can we?
Yeah.
Let's pop back over to Sky Tracker real quick. Honestly, look at the Paducah radar, the Paducah Sky Tracker right now.
It's doing its happy dance.
It is flipping around. If y'all can, let's pop up that Sky Tracker camera and we'll check things out. It's coming down in Murray right now.
Hold on 1 second, let me pull it up. Okay.
Yeah, there's your view from Murray right now with the storm coming in. Lots of lightning, some heavy rain. There's some gusty winds, but it doesn't look like anything that's just terribly strong right now. You can see a couple trees down around the CFSB Center that are not really blowing around too much. So A lot of lightning and heavy rain there, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go back to radar. Some pea-size hail around Murray as well, according to Callaway County Emergency Management. And then on down the line into Tennessee. Again, that strong line of storms. Probably some pea-size hail here in Henry County as well, and possibly some 40, 50, 60 mile per hour gusts along that line. There is still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for Henry County. So let's go back out for the wide view across the area. And again, I want to go back over to our regular velocity data. And even behind our line of storms, there's some very strong gusty winds coming in out of the northwest. At last check, let's see what we were clocking in Paducah. We've had some recent gusts in Paducah well over 20 to 30 miles per hour, and probably even higher than that, maybe some 40 plus mile per hour gusts. So even as that line of storms moves on through the area, there's still going to be some really windy conditions coming in through the rest of the night. But again, here on TV, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning here that does include the Stewart County area until 9:45, 70 mile per hour winds. For Callaway County, our severe thunderstorm warning continues until 9 o'clock for the possibility of some 60 mile per hour winds there. From Marshall up toward Livingston and Crittenden County, strong storms, not severe at the moment. So with no tornado warnings, again, we are going to stay with you on Facebook Live. So we will continue to stay on Facebook Live for folks here. I do not want anybody here across Western Kentucky to think that we're forgetting about you. We're not. We're going to be right here watching these. We don't have tornado warnings, so typically we don't go wall to wall on TV for severe thunderstorm for tornado warnings. If we don't go wall to wall unless we have tornado warnings, and we don't want to continue on here. So we want to get you back to basketball. We're watching this, Marion, Princeton, Eddyville, Catawba. If anything pops up that's concerning, we'll come right back on TV. We will continue on Facebook Live as we move through the rest of this evening as these storms cross the area. So again, on WPSD TV, we'll get you back out to regular programming, and we'll be with you here. Our Facebook Live stream will continue. We're not going anywhere on that, and if we have any additional updates, we'll be right back on our main TV channel. All right, so it looks like we're back to Sunday Night Basketball on NBC. We are still with you here on Facebook Live as we continue to track these storms moving across the area. Right now, the strongest storms running from Murray down toward Henry County in northwest Tennessee. Mike, I don't suppose you want to hop in front of the green screen for a couple minutes, do you?
Yeah, I'll do it for you. You deserve a break, man.
If you don't see us on screen just for a second, we're still here. We are continuing to keep an eye on these. And right now, this is for areas here in Western Kentucky. Thankfully, things have not been quite as intense, but we're not out of the woods just yet. So certainly from Marion to Eddyville, Catawba, Princeton, and Cadiz, we want to hang with you. For just a little bit longer. All right. You mic'd up?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I'll let you, if you want to take over just for a second.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. All righty. Make sure I got it working here. Cool. All right, so let's zoom in on Murray, because we have reports of some pea-sized hail falling. Yeah, it looks like maybe a little bit of a hail core just to the north there. Again, these are just severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, all of our tornado warnings have expired at this time, and I'm giving my good friend Trent Okerson a little bit of a break here, as he's done such a great job over the past 2.5 hours covering this severe weather threat. I'm going to zoom this back out just a little bit here, show you the warning that's still in effect, that still has a tornado possible tag on it. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning that is moving through Murray at this time, in effect still till 9:45, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Again, there have been reports of some pea-sized hail just south of Murray. Again, could see up to an inch hail. Again, this is a considerable tag threat because it's a 70-mile-an-hour wind with this severe thunderstorm warning, and a tornado possible tag still with it. As you know, these storms, as they've moved through, they've had rotations. Again, little spin-ups embedded in these lines, especially where they start to bow out. Again, so we're keeping an eye on that as we go over the next 45 minutes. But for the most part, it seems like the storms that are actually over here by Hopkinsville. Now, these storms was what we saw. These were called prefrontal storms. This actually has a severe thunderstorm warning right now as well for Hopkinsville. Till 9:30, again, 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is the prefrontal activity that we're seeing here. Back to the west here. Now, this is the actual cold front that's going to move through soon. The good news is we think that this line that's moving through Hopkinsville right now has actually stabilized the atmosphere just a little bit to keep the severe threat much lower to the north here. As if I zoom you guys out a little bit, you can see that line, the reflectivity values are a lot lower than they were just a little bit ago. And it looks much weaker overall. So it looks like that the prefrontal activity did us some justice and did weaken that line as it's moving east very quickly. I'm going to send us back down here to the south. Our friends in Tennessee right now, Paris, Murray again, still seeing those very strong wind gusts associated with this system, or with these lines of storms as they are moving through. So what I'm actually going to do here is, because these storms are moving so fast, zoom out here just a little bit. Let's get a track on this for you as this is moving to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. So let's track this out for you here, just to show you where it's going. Find a happy medium here. Okay, so this storm, 8:54 near Big Sandy, 9:06 for Dover, Carlisle around 9:12, Fort Campbell at 9:28, and Clarksville around 9:36. Again, this storm does have a tornado possible tag on it, and a considerable tag, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We saw the sky cam just in Murray a couple minutes ago, and it was really shaking. So there were some pretty strong winds associated with this line as it's moving through Murray at the time. So let's actually zoom back in here, take a look at some velocities, and get a good sense of what this storm is doing here in terms of winds. Come on, don't give up on me now. Okay, there we go. Again, you can see the little pinks that are just to east of Murray here. These are probably 60, 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible with this line as it's moving through. And again, behind this line now, once you see that front move through, done with severe weather for the day. The tornado warning, or the tornado watch, will be expiring as we go through the next couple of hours here, as we're almost done here in the local 6 region with severe weather for the night. However, windy conditions will continue as we head into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. We'll see the wind begin to taper off just a little bit as we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening. So let me bring us back to radar here. Again, you can kind of see this line beginning to bow out just a little bit here, just to the east of Murray. This is where you're likely to see those 60, maybe even 70 mile an hour gusts with this system. Again, down here to the south, you're seeing these purples that are forming, again, just to the south of Murray, right next to Route 641, just to the northwest of Route 79. Possibly some small hail is falling with this line as it's moving to the northeast pretty quickly. Again, we're almost done with severe weather here in the local 6 region. Again, we're keeping an eye on this as it moves off to the east, as we're not out of the woods quite yet. But again, this line of storms here, this is where most of our severe warnings are. We have a severe warning that is moving out of Hopkinsville at the time, part of the prefrontal activity that we mentioned earlier. Again, that's helped to weaken some of the line behind it, but we're still watching this as it's moving off to the east at 55 miles per hour. I'll bring the warning back up for you guys. Again, until 9:45. Again, this is for areas around Route 79. Again, till 9:45, 70 mile an hour wind gusts. This does have a considerable tag on it. Again, also as well as a tornado possible tag. So not out of the woods completely yet. The good news is it looks like most of our severe weather threat is going to be over pretty soon for the evening. As this is moving through Paris right now, let's actually zoom that in just a little bit. Actually get a better look down by Huntington and Paris and see what the velocities are looking like there. It looks like the reflectivities are a little bit lower. They're not really bowing out as much near Huntington, just to the southeast of McKenzie. Let me get another velocity scan here so we could see what the winds are. Again, it's kind of hard to tell. Not in the best radar location here, kind of getting further away. Let me see if I can actually get it to switch over. Maybe it'll look a little better. There we go. Yeah, it looks like those bright green colors here. Again, this is wind going toward the radar now. Again, possibly some strong wind gusts moving through Huntington right now. Probably not as strong as what was moving through Murray, because that was bowing out just a couple of minutes ago. So again, let's bring you back out to radar. And as of now, still no tornado warnings. Again, the biggest concern with this line right now is actually just east of Murray here. And you can see it's still bowing out, which means there's probably going to be some very, very strong wind gusts with this overall. So let's bring this out here. I'm actually going to get another track on this for you guys, just so you know where this is headed. And we will get just a good sense here of this storm that's bowing out. That's moving off to the northeast at about 55. Again, New Concord around 8:52. Again, this will be moving out of our region pretty shortly here within the next half hour or so. Bumpus Mills near 9:11. Fort Campbell 9:34. Pembroke around 9:40. Again, this is just going to be the bowing out part of this storm is where you're going to get all your straight line winds. That's why it has a considerable tag as we go through here the next couple minutes, as it's still bowing out, still some very strong wind gusts overall associated with this system. And I want to bring us back here to the Hopkinsville storm here. That does have a severe thunderstorm warning on it still. And we zoom in on that a little bit. Again, you can see to the north here near Marion, moving into Princeton, that did move through Paducah. This line has significantly weakened as it moved east, thanks to this prefrontal activity here that just stabilized our atmosphere just enough to weaken these storms just a little bit. Let's bring up the warning here again. That's moving out of our area right now, but however, it's still just to the east of Hopkinsville until 9:30, 60 mile an hour wind gusts with this storm as it moves off to the northeast. very quickly. These storms moving 50 to 60 miles an hour. But the temperature contrast behind this, we're going from severe weather to possibly some snow flurries tomorrow morning. Talk about a battle of the seasons. Personally, I can't take it. But we're going to take what we can get here. We'll get all this severe weather out of here very shortly. I actually want to take us back over towards Murray here. This is my biggest concern with this line right here, as it's bowing out, moving just to the south of Cadiz, just north of Dover right now. And this is just to the south of Route 68 right now, just to the east of Murray. And we can zoom in just a little bit more on that, just to show you where I think some of the strongest winds will be with this system, or with this bowing line, I should say, right alongside 139, Route 139, as well as Tennessee Route 49 as well. Could see some of those strong wind gusts associated with this. So let's zoom back out here. And we'll get a general sense of what's going on our radar right now. Again, here's our severe thunderstorm warnings. Right now we have no tornado warnings in effect. Out to the west here, clear from severe weather for the night. Again, once we got these storms, the cold front moved through. We're going to see much drier, much cooler air coming in. Again, it will remain windy as we go throughout the night tonight and into tomorrow as well. Temperatures, though, in the 30s. It's going to be very cold. Let's take a look. Again, I do want to, let's see what's going on to our north here. Again, that prefrontal activity right here, all it took was this to form, stabilize the atmosphere a little bit. We lose a little bit of that storm fuel that we need to get these storms going, and we lose the intensity of the line, which is not a bad thing. Again, the line was very severe, especially in Missouri and portions of western Kentucky and southern Illinois. The good news is this is weakening as it continues to move off to the east. And we are almost done with severe weather for the night, folks. Within the next hour or so, we will be clear of severe weather. Again, here's our severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect just to the east of Paris here, as this is beginning to move on out for our friends in Tennessee and portions of Kentucky. Again, it's still in effect till 9:45. I think most of this storm will be out of here by 9:45. 70-mile-an-hour winds, still an issue, especially where it's bowing out just east of Murray. Again, an inch, maybe up to an inch size hail. Again, there was some pea-size report hail just to the south of Murray a little bit ago. So again, can't rule out some small hail with this storm. Still has a considerable tag on it. So again, gusty winds and a tornado possible tag still on this, as well as it was producing rotation much earlier. Doesn't look like it's doing so right now. So let's actually check to see if we have anything on storm relative velocity here. See if we have any rotation. Now, it just looks like pretty strong straight line winds. We can bring that back up here. Yeah, you can see these very, very light blues here. Let's actually zoom in on this here. These light blues here, just to the east of Murray, those are very strong wind gusts associated with this line. The good news, it looks like it's just straight line wind gusts, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour with this storm. But for the most part, there's no clear-cut or circulations within this line at this time, as these storms are moving off to the northeast, and pretty soon we will be clear from any severe weather. So let's actually zoom back out here. Again, most of our severe weather is actually almost over here. We got this severe thunderstorm warning here, the one in Hopkinsville. We're still going to watch to the north here. Let's bring up the radar again. Bring up the radar here. Again, we are still watching this portion to the north here. Again, this is going to be moving into Princeton, Madisonville. This is not severe warned at the time, but again, we are still watching this for the potential for possibly some strong wind gusts associated with this line as it moves through. But thankfully, these storms out here have weakened the actual cold front line behind it. So the main line of storms, much weaker due to some prefrontal activity.
Marion, Kentucky, there's a pretty decent little batch of some stronger winds showing up there.
Yeah, it does look like it's bowing out a little bit. Yeah, let's check out velocity on that here. Yeah, let's see if we can.
Maybe slide the camera up. That's the Fort Campbell. The Paducah radar site seems to pick it up just a little bit better. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's see if we can actually. Again, let's see what radar is indicating here. 70-mile-an-hour winds possible with this line as it's moving through. Yeah, it does look like it's bowing out just a little bit here. So again, you see those orange, tannish colors here, those brighter pinks, those are strong wind gusts associated with this line as it's moving through. So let me bring you back here to radar. Just kind of show you what we're looking at here. You're starting to see this bow out just a little bit here, just to the east of Marion, moving into Providence right now. Again, this is the potential for some strong wind gusts as this moves in. Let's actually not do that. Let's move back in here. We'll get a little closer to it. Yeah, in Providence, this is, let's see if we can get a little closer to it. Yeah, this is right along Route 132 at this time. This is moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. Let me actually get a little bit closer here. Yeah, you could start to see it just almost looks like a boomerang. That's where you know that's actually beginning to bow out. And this is actually a better example here. It looks like it's bowing out even more, moving towards Dixon right now, just to the east of Route 141, just to the northwest of Route 120. So again, possibly some strong winds still associated with this line as it moves through, but for the most part, it is beginning to weaken below severe limits. We'll watch and see if this actually gets prompted a warning here, because it does look like there's some pretty strong wind gusts associated with this line as it's moving through. Let's see, we move this down back to the south here. Again, it looks like to the north here, mostly just heavy rain and just some strong winds. We did see some reports of hail down to the east of Murray, and you can see this storm is well past Murray at this point. This line is moving really quickly, and it is beginning to move out of our area. And again, once this cold front passes through, the wind shifts back to the northwest. It's going to get much cooler, but we won't have to deal with any more severe weather, at least for the rest of tonight. So let's actually zoom back in here. Let's take a look, see how this storm is doing down here, just to the east of Paris. Again, it looks like, you see the little purple there and reflectivity there. That's the possibility of maybe some small hail still with this storm as it's moving through. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 9:45 now. 70-mile-an-hour winds still possible with this. Hail size down to 3/4 of an inch. So pretty small hail associated with the main core of this storm. Still a considerable threat. Tornado possible tag still can't completely rule out the potential of a brief spin up with this line as it continues to move off to the east. So again, we are almost done. I'm actually going to take more of a regional view of our radar here. But you can see behind this, there's nothing. It's going to quiet down completely, or no, I wouldn't say completely, because there's the chance of seeing a few snowflakes into the morning hours tomorrow. But for the most part, it's just going to be windy, and it's going to be very cold, at least for the next 2 days or so. And we'll take you back down here to these severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, this is the main concern at this point. We did see some potential strong wind gusts with the line that was beginning to bow out a little bit, where you see those straight line wind gusts just east of Marion. But this severe thunderstorm warning is beginning to move out of our area. And again, possibly still some strong winds associated with this line as it pushes off to the northeast very quickly at 55 miles per hour. So let's go take a look at Marion and see how that storm's doing. Yeah, honestly, it doesn't look as defined as it did earlier, which is good news. It did look like it was bowing out, possibly some strong winds associated with that. So let's take a look at velocity here and see what this is showing now. Let's move this. See if we can get a better sense. Maybe. Well, regardless, even though it won't show on radar on velocity, it doesn't look as defined as it did. It wasn't really bowing out here. I'll show you back on radar here. Again, it was bowing out earlier. It kind of looks like it's losing its characteristics just a little bit. Again, still some strong wind gusts as this moves off to the east towards I-69 right now. Again, it's going to be moving into Dixon here shortly, and Madisonville within the next half hour or so. Moving through Princeton right now and did move through Marion just to the east. So let's actually move this back down.
Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning down south of there into Christian County and parts of Trigg County as well.
Perfect.
A little more substantial wind threat coming in from Cadiz toward Hopkinsville.
Yeah, so it looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning here. Again, Hopkinsville is included in this warning now, so that's double the warnings for Hopkinsville. Again, this is in effect now till 10 o'clock tonight. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Again, maybe some small hail. Tornado possible tags still there. But for the most part, the straight-line wind threat is going to be the main threat with this as it's moving through. So let's actually get this on a track real quick, just to show you where this is going. Moving off to the east or northeast, trend 55 miles an hour.
I think the forward speed has actually increased. It looks like east at 70.
70. Ooh, that's fast.
They have begun to speed. They've sped up a little bit, which might cause a little bit more of a damaging wind threat just with that faster forward speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at this storm, again, even looks like to me it's beginning to get that little bit of a boomerang shape to it, which means, again, possibly some strong wind gusts as this moves off to the northeast and out of our area here very shortly, right around Route 68 at the moment. So let's take a look at velocity here and see if this showing anything strong, because yep, there we go. So see those blue colors there just to the south of Route 68. Those are some very strong wind gusts as this is moving off to the northeast very quickly. With that rapid forward motion, probably some very strong wind gusts associated with this. So let's actually zoom in on this a little bit more, just so I can show you exactly what I mean. Yeah, just right to the south of Cadiz. Cadiz probably seeing some of those stronger wind gusts at the moment right now. And this is just along Route 274 as well as Route 68 and Route 139 right now as a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. Let's see what these the velocity's putting out here. Right around Cadiz, let's see. Possibly 50, 60-mile-an-hour gusts, again, associated with this line as it's moving off to the northeast. Very rapid motion right now, 70 miles an hour. Again, strong wind gusts here in the blue color. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 o'clock as that's moving off to the northeast. And we just actually got a new scan. So let me, yeah, those are some very strong wind gusts just to the northeast of Route 139. Let's actually see. Let's see what we got. Let's see what this velocity is showing. Possibly 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts associated with this line. Again, this is the bowing out structure right here. This is where you're going to see those strong straight line winds associated with this system as it moves off to the northeast. So again, very strong wind gusts associated with the new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's actually move this back on out a little bit. We can go back to radar just to show you that again. Okay, let me move this back on up here. Okay, so again, there's your strong wind gust. We'll bring you back to radar here, just to show you that bowing out. Yeah, just a little bit right here, maybe even some small hail falling in there. See a little bit of pinks and purples in there, possibly a small hail core within that. So don't be surprised if you live along Route 68 there to see maybe some quarter-size hail. Again, nothing too big, probably even smaller than that, probably on the order of pea-size hail as this moves off to the northeast at 70. Again, this does look like it is bowing out a little bit, so you're going to see some very strong wind gusts here as this moves off to the northeast. And this is moving towards Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville, you'll likely see this line of storms within the next 10, maybe 15 minutes or so as it moves off to the northeast at 70 miles per hour. So let me actually zoom this out so we can get a better sense of where this storm is going and timing. There we go. Okay, so this is moving to the northeast at 70. Just to show you when this will be impacting Hopkinsville around 9:18. So within the next 10 minutes, Hopkinsville, get ready for looks like to be some pretty strong winds associated with this line as it's moving through. But overall, the severe threat is trending downwards for the rest of the night. Again, still some strong wind gusts, but for the most part, tornado warnings are not occurring at the moment, which is a very good thing. Again, let's actually take this back up to the north here. So Hopkinsville, expect to see some very strong wind gusts within the next 10 minutes. Again, as we go up to the north here, again, for the most part, severe weather has left the local 6 area. Again, seeing some reflectivities. Again, heavy rain, possibly some strong wind gusts associated with this line as it's moving off. And yeah, so I think we're about severe clear for the night. Again, just some strong wind gusts as it's moving out to the east, and that'll be all from us. We appreciate you trusting us with your forecast, and we want to thank Trent. Trent did a great job tracking severe weather tonight, and we appreciate you guys tuning in for the forecast.